A word to the wise. We are an explicit podcast tackling content with adult themes as well as entering spoiler territory if you aren't caught up with us, which is through chapter 36 of Jade War in the Greenbone Saga by Fonda Lee.
Hey there, this is Cross.
I'm PJ.
I'm Ben.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Thomas.
And we are Words and Whiskey, a podcast for veteran and novice readers alike. We tackle fiction novels and love to talk about what we're drinking. You should think of us as your intoxicating weekly book club.
Ben just gave the straightest, most normal intro that we've had in a very long time.
I felt like I was listening to Howler Pod for a minute.
I use my professional voice.
Ben's a professional. I don't know if you knew this, but he doesn't just podcast all day. He has a full-time job.
Well,
wow, wouldn't that be nice?
I think everybody else does too.
Right. No, I just don't. Yeah, I read book and then write about book and then record book, and that's my week. That's all I do. No,
Wow,
just kidding.
you think you'd be better at speaking English since you read?
True. Yeah, I'll do today. 5th episode. Talking chapters 30 through 36. What are you drinking, PJ?
Water.
Damn it. Just water?
Yeah, just water today.
Oh yeah, you're packing up to move tomorrow, aren't you? Some nightmare?
Not tomorrow. Next week.
Mm.
But
Where are you going?
There's a lot to do. Down to Eugene. So Kaylin's contract got cut short.
Eugene!
Yeah. So
You know Tangled?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Flynn Rider, my dude.
Flynn Rider. His name's Eugene.
Oh, cool.
His real name.
Rapunzel,
Gotcha.
right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Way better than Frozen.
Way better than Frozen.
I agree. I don't know. I liked Frozen too.
You like
Down to
Frozen or
Eugene, so
Frozen 2?
water. Okay. We'll give you the out.
Appreciate it.
I don't know.
Thomas.
Packing while intoxicated might be more fun.
I
True.
am drinking one of the greatest beverages known to mankind, and that is called water as well.
Oh, Jesus.
You also, God
What's
damn
going
it.
on here?
Why
I
did no one
Dry
say
July?
anything?
I also have
Hydro
limeade.
episode.
I also have
Just
limeade
limeade.
because, well, just here's the thing, right?
Which one did
Water's
you
not
do?
enough. You got to keep the vocal cords lubricated and well lubricated.
All right.
If we're going to talk for 6 hours, as we like to do.
We don't talk for 6 hours.
Only 4.
Sometimes 4.
Nice.
Ben and I are drinking
Sometimes.
local brewery Seltzer Boulevard Brewing Co. Quirk.
Quirky. We're feeling quirky.
It's just called Quirk.
I'm feeling quirky.
I'm having hibiscus lemonade, and Ben is having...
A grapefruit twist, and let me tell you what, it's fucking lovely.
Yeah, the Quirks are more herby and less like sweet than like Truly.
I'm not sure that I've had this flavor before, and I am impressed.
This is the best pack. They have a bunch of different packs.
Are you
You
generally
know.
a fan of grapefruit?
Yeah.
Like,
Ish.
I know it's
yeah.
generally people are like, hate.
I don't
love,
feel
hate.
like super passionate about grapefruit, but
You should be.
I like it most of the time. Sometimes it can be overpowering.
Okay.
I don't know the last time I actually had actual grapefruit. Just the flavor
That
of
is
it.
true.
Like grapefruit.
I have grapefruit like once a month.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't-
grapefruit's my favorite fruit, so I'm rather,
Wow.
I'm a weirdo there.
You
But
are
I don't-
passionate about it then.
I don't know. Is it like in the store here? Maybe we're in
Yeah.
a grapefruit desert.
No, there's grapefruits.
It's just one of those things that like you don't get often, and honestly it is fairly difficult, which is why despite being like my favorite fruit, I only have it like once a month because it's like either a pain to cut and peel into wedges or
Yeah.
like grapefruit spoon it out, and like that means you have to have that specific utensil. So, you know,
Didn't like in the 60s they ate it for breakfast a lot, right?
Yeah.
They
a little bit of salt
madmen.
Right.
and a little bit of salt.
I love pomegranate, but they are a pain in the ass. It takes like an hour before you can start
Somehow
eating
even worse. Yeah.
I'm
it.
a
You get
big
juice all over you.
I'm a big bananas and oranges guy. I have both of those around my house all the time.
Bananas.
Yeah.
I eat a banana every day.
I love bananas. They're
Good
fucking
for
awesome.
your gut health.
They're incredible for you. I hate them, unfortunately.
Are you one of those
Yeah.
weird people
Same,
who like
brother.
won't peel them?
Like,
I have a
just
friend who
bite
has like
into
a
the banana
phobia.
Oh no,
No,
no.
she has like a phobia. She like won't peel a banana.
Why?
Letitia.
Uh,
I don't know.
Did she open it?
Like
Have like
I would eat a
maggots
banana
inside
every
once or
day, and
something?
I sat by her at work, and she'd be like, "Ugh."
That's weird.
That is
have
that
to go
is
peel my
super weird.
banana in the hallway.
I feel like there had to be like an experience
I
that
don't
put
know.
her in that mindset. Maybe she
For me,
opened
it's-
a piece of fruit once and it was like filled with maggots or something.
Ew.
Like a spider.
I don't think it
something like
was that.
That would make more sense to me. So I think I'm more agreeable to that being part of the reason. For me, it's a texture thing. I actually like the flavor. So like I love blended bananas. I have no problems with even in like a lot of pies or flavored things. Like love it, but cannot do even
Interesting.
slices of banana. Dried banana chips, plantains. I don't know.
Yeah. Is this the most interesting topic we've ever discussed?
I
You know?
love this conversation.
It's already
What?
going into the devil's cut
Makes
that we
me
don't
want
have.
some fruit.
So I made the featured cocktail, of which now, three of us drinking. I also poured a shot, not realizing that we were doing a devil's cut. So I guess I'm just making up for everyone else. So cheers.
What's your
Huzzah!
shot
Cheers.
of?
Huzzah!
It was the same vodka that is in my drink, which
You just
is
like cold take vodka. I just cannot.
this is good vodka. That's the thing. Like
You should watch me try
I've
to take a
narrowed
shot.
it down.
I,
pretty ugly.
I like gag before someone hands it to me. Like the thought of a
Interesting.
shot makes me
Sounds like you're psyching yourself out.
100%.
Bad vodka use does that to me still to this day. Like someone orders, or like there are a couple of different shots that'll do that, but specifically Blue Shark vodka, which is a relatively local vodka, or Rakia are the two that I can just do no problem. Make great mixers and cocktails.
How
but I
much
don't
is
have a
it?
whole lot of vodka. Rakia is
Whoa,
like
whoa, whoa.
23.
No free ads.
This is funny. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going to talk about it. We don't need to further derail this. I'm going to talk about the clean plate. So this is a lot more than what was in the photo because I made a 1.5 and then I poured it into a smaller vessel. But what it is, I wanted to take something that was inspired off of the duel, of course, that's one of the big features of the week, and just a concept that's talked about a lot in the show, or the book rather, and now that we've talked a lot about in the show. So what it is it's 2.5 ounces of vodka, half an ounce of maraschino liqueur, 3 ounces of pear juice, 1 ounce of lime, an egg white, and a 1/4 ounce of mint simple syrup, and then some fresh mulled mint. It is amazing. It is delectable.
Do you use do you crack an egg and
That was
Yeah,
my
separate.
question. What do you do with
or
the
do you use like
yolk?
the little jug of egg white
Throw it.
Throw it where?
No, down the drain.
That's food waste.
down your throat and then you're Gaston?
That's what I like to
I
hear.
mean, you could do like a what are they called? Something oyster. God. Basically, what it is like people. It was a sailor drink in the morning. People would crack an egg and then put pepper and salt on it, and maybe like a hot sauce, like a Tabasco or whatever, and then or cayenne, and then just take it like a shot and rip it.
That's your shot next
I'd
week.
like to see that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it. It's fine. It's not that bad.
I'll do it with you.
I've done it before. If you want
I
to turn it
won't.
into an actual shot, you throw vodka in it, which is a thing that Greg on How to Drink has done on the show. Anyway, this is
Wow,
amazing.
Greg.
I put a little bit of free ad. I love Greg. Put a little bit of maraschino, like the bad kind, the American kind, but I put a little bit of that red in just to give it like a streak of blood that was going down the edge for the photos because I
It's
want
not-
it.
it's a
It's
dirty
not really a
blade.
clean blade. Yeah. So just that little hint of red for those photos. So garnish with fresh mint.
Delicious.
Really good. The only swap that I would make, because I did kind of make this blindly, is I would swap the vodka for like an herby gin, I think, because it could use a little bit more floral. There are a couple of other solutions there, but I think that's probably what I would do.
Can
Could
you
have gotten
talk
a
to me
fake ear
about
and put
pear
it on the
juice?
side.
So PJ,
What was that,
when
Ben?
you
I was saying you could have put
Garnished
with a fake earlobe of some sort.
Oh yeah,
Really nice.
There were a couple of considerations for like naming this drink something else and like making it really ridiculous.
It looks pretty. The mint kind of looked a little bit like maybe you drowned a praying mantis in there. But overall, I would say like a 9 out of 10 just on looks, maybe a 10 out of 10.
It's a good one. It's a good one. It also tastes amazing. To talk about the pear juice, PJ, you just wanted the why on the pear juice, or like what?
Not why, but I've never seen just straight up pear juice before. Like, did you juice it yourself? Or
No. So it's a brand, whatever. It just comes in a big old container. And yeah, I knew that I was going to be using it again for another cocktail this weekend for a little competition among friends. So I was like, I'll buy it and then I'll use it for the clean blade because it'll also yield something that's kind of whitish like the moon blades. So cool. Adjacent. Yeah. Also tastes insanely good. It's super. I hate pears, but I love pear juice. Again, one of those weird things. I don't hate a lot of things, but a couple of fruits. Anyway, before we talk about the chapters, Ben, Aaron, PJ, how'd you feel about this week? What'd you think?
I felt great.
I felt fantastic.
I felt excited.
Hyped.
It was energizing.
What I was looking
there was
for.
a big... We had a big debate over whether to move. I mean, big. We had a debate over whether or not to put 30 in last week, but it would have made it so ungodly long when we were going through and reading everything. It's like, man, that's a good cliffhanger, but at the same time, you know where it's going, and the resolution feels so good right after. So
I would categorize it as a discussion that was very thoughtful.
Yeah, right. But yeah, it's an exciting week.
It was the chair.
Would have been a hell of a cliffhanger to put us on, though.
Yeah, well,
I think
I liked the political cliffhanger.
it fits well this week. There's a couple, something starts in chapter 30, picks back up chapter 31. There's a nice little thread binding them together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
Shae's honor
with that,
remains.
Oh, yeah.
Barely.
So with that, we ready to go into chapter 30?
Let's do it.
Let's start it up. Chapter 30, Heroes Day. We start this week with Wen pregnant with her second child and Shae heading to the doctor for the weatherman's abortion. We get a lovely flashback with Lon and Shae before she departed for Aspenia as well, making some of those decisions. And then we make it to Heroes Day with all of its speeches and grandstanding before that final moment that obviously I want to try to keep us on train before we get to the battle, the moment, the pitch. Rather, the battle's not here, but yeah. What'd you guys think about the sort of the scene setting with heading in first with Wen for the abortion?
I will say I had to reread the first two paragraphs 4 times in a row. 'Cause it was I was like, what is happening? Who's pregnant? When? Okay,
yeah,
Wen's
a little bit
also
of whiplash.
pregnant.
Yeah.
I was like, what's happening? I don't know. Did you just pick it up right away? I was like, oh, okay. We're walking into a clinic to get an abortion, but Wen's pregnant, so she's the cover.
I knew what was going on because this is what I expected. You guys can tell me. Good job on being right. I'll take my kids now.
You
Good
did
job.
Wen to be pregnant? That's what confused me. I was like, didn't she just have a baby? Are these Irish twins? Can Hilo keep his hands to himself for 5 minutes?
Clearly
Well,
not.
it has been at this point
Yeah,
God,
they
how
had the
old?
baby.
I don't know.
6
It's all
6 to 8
going,
months. Not quite Irish, but yeah.
It's all going so fast.
Time is moving quickly in this book compared to the last book.
Yeah.
It's definitely not
Right.
This book was more day to day. This book
Yeah.
were month to month at times.
But yeah, I think we all knew what Shae's decision was.
Interesting. Yeah, go on.
She came to a decision, and obviously there was no other decision after all the cons to having a child. And if only they had mifepristone and the other one.
It's true. Ultimately, incredibly relevant to the current moment, which is just, anyway. So there is something that I wanted to speak about, too, between Wen and Shae and their kind of ongoing friendship. She says, if it were me, I'd like another woman to be with me. Why should we have to go through hardships in life by ourselves? And I think that this just shows the way that Wen is grown as a character in our perception, and then also how they've ended up connecting when they seemed very distant before, and sort of the way that their friendship has blossomed in the background.
Love this for them. Love that line by Wen. Glad she stuck by her.
Yeah. Shae's a little ice cold.
And I like how Shae was like, no, it's unlucky. And she's like, fuck that. I'm going.
He's like, I'm unlucky.
Been unlucky my whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just all in all, like an amazing Mate Wen chapter.
Yeah,
she really shines.
And Shae has, let her guard down with Wen because of the Stone Eye spy business. What's that called? White rat.
You got it. Stone Eye spy business. Stone Eye spy business.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. 100%. You got it. First try.
So this is probably like the first like woman Shae's ever trusted. She didn't seem like part of the group.
Kianla, maybe, but that's like Nanny, trusting Nanny.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it's not that she doesn't trust her mom. It's just that her mom has never aspired for like she's breaking glass ceilings. So that's tough in its own right.
I'm just spitting the truth here, shooting from the hip.
I do appreciate the immediate payoff of this. Like I would, if I were in your shoes, I'd want someone to be there, and then after the procedure, yeah, I'm glad you're here. Like you're right. Like I liked that it was a quick payoff, but direct, and I don't know, it felt good.
Yeah. It does feel good. It goes from, obviously having the sense of companionship between two women to then also like kind of the, I don't necessarily want to color this. I'd like to hear your guys' opinion, but what do you think of the laws around abortion in Janloon in KCON?
What were they?
So, to quote, getting an abortion was neither particularly easy nor particularly difficult in Janloon. Clinics varied in repute, and there was a moderate cost, but the main restriction was that a woman had to obtain the consent of her husband if she was married, or that of a male relative if she was not. This rule was regularly circumvented for an additional fee. Shae had filled out the necessary paperwork in advance and forged Hila's signature next to her own at the bottom. The young woman at the reception counter looked at the forms, then at Shae, and her eyes widened. But
yeah, there's no way that people aren't going to find out about this.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
Don't they have a family doctor? Like, why does she have to go into...
He's a greenbone physician.
The public,
It does seem like this is...
Can he channel? And can
oh
we
my
figure
gosh,
out? Can we
come
on.
Oh, no.
I mean,
You know what,
be,
though? I feel
it
uncomfortable
would be,
now.
non-surgical.
Well,
Outpatient?
yeah.
What is happening?
Thoughts on this are fuck the patriarchy.
Always.
Hell
Always
yeah,
and
brother.
forever.
On it.
And then...
Tattoo that on my face.
Yeah, it does. My second thought is that Aaron is probably right, that this is probably going to get gossiped over to the mountain at some point. And then...
How can it not? Even
this
innocent,
is hot goss,
innocent,
for
sure.
Yeah.
innocent gossip.
We don't know if it
HIPAA?
exists here. I think this will also ruin this like tenuous friendship, as they call it, between her and
quote unquote friendship.
I think that's already been ruined.
You can't be friends with your ex-boyfriend.
I think it will be another nail in the coffin of Shae's guilt about the entire situation.
Yeah, it could make an enemy out of him somehow. I don't think
That's
it'll go that far.
interesting
I don't
thought,
think that
yeah.
it'd be that bad. But what struck me as odd here was she points out that it can be circumvented for a fee, but she still chooses to forge Hilo's signature instead. I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah. Just pay
I thought
Like,
that was just
why
because of
pay
who
more?
she was.
Yeah.
And like, even then,
like
like
the pillar wants this kid dead, so
Which I think
He's-
was also maybe to
whispered
insulate her
their
from...
name.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, like, it's to insulate the woman from snitching, right?
Yeah.
It's because it's like, you saw Hilo's name on this paper.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
You going to say something? Because I'm going to come for you.
his
Yeah.
snitches get stitches.
Yeah.
Receptionist.
I think that's why.
Yeah,
in this
that's a good point.
circumstance. But cool. All right. To end this, of course, we get the lovely exchange between Wen and Shae, but then there's another like end here that really solidifies the two of them together. And Wen just has this brutal cutting line that I couldn't help but like put into the document, despite having so many other quotes already in this chapter. Look at Aitmata and how alone she is. We must never be like that. And it is just so perfect and poignant and wonderful.
I did 100% agree with that. I was like, yeah, this is the difference between the two clans.
And they kind of point out that's the difference when Hilo, they have that, dinner with just family. He's like, we're not alone, but I is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And the start of that conversation, but that leads to the look at how alone I is. It's just like incredible how Shae's like, do you think less of me? And Wen just fucking pulls over and she's like, no, you idiot. Like how could I? You're amazing. You're a bad bitch. Like, of course I don't think less of you. Don't be silly.
And it's
also Wen sounds like a scary driver.
Yes.
She does for sure. And there's also the whole like unwinding of the guilt of the reason that like it's okay for Shae to get an abortion, but like Wen wouldn't, and like their usefulness to the family in different ways. Not necessarily, it's not completely utilitarian, but there are definitely hints of that throughout the conversation from Wen.
Mm-hmm.
Wen's a vessel.
And I mean,
come on.
It gets back to when Wen is at the spa and we learn of her, like, that she has this network of spies. Like, she does very much see herself in the role of having to provide heirs for No Peak.
Right.
Can't make them fast enough. They keep killing him.
Yeah, Shae, pull your weight.
Yeah, Shae, pull your fucking weight. Get it figured out. All right.
I don't know if this is a worthwhile comparison to make, but it is at least a little bit ironic here, going from this conversation where like relying on family and not being alone is their big strength. And then Shae turns around and silently and unilaterally makes a decision to a huge decision in the Clean Blade offer. It's not the same, and she's doing it for the family, for the clan, and like there's a ton of reasons why it's not the same, but it is kind of ironic in my eyes that like rooting against the the loneliness of Ait and then to do this like without consulting anybody is a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit off for me, but I don't think she had a choice. So
yeah, I think that's why it's important that Wen says a lot of this, right? Wen's the one highlighting family and the importance therein. And Shae hasn't maybe fully bought into that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hilo before that, yeah, it's not Shae. I remember ever bringing that up.
Yeah. Shae's been a loner, and we get to kind of see a little bit of that. I mean, even if we talked about it previously, Shae was a loner in school. She's always looked to people who can like trust in other people as something that she wishes that she could. And we get a flash of that in the conversation that happens with Lon, right? Shae was preparing to leave. We get to see Lon again, which just tears at my fucking heartstrings because I wanted a lot more of this character. It hurts every time he flashes back. What's that?
Toughen up. I was roasting you.
I will not toughen up. I'm going to be a sad lad like Andin forever. But yeah, off to Uspenia. What'd you make of that kind of that scene in that moment that they share together? Like the I guess to put it into other context, the sort of we obviously can see the big difference between Lon and Hilo's pillars is like the willingness for him to be like, no, go pursue like your passion, like go try other things and explore. And then we kind of get that in maybe even in a larger picture in a quote where he says, I wouldn't be surprised if this is what the whole world looks like one day. An unrecognizable blend, cultures and people mixed together. Where will Jade and clans and Greenbones fit in, I wonder? And it seems like he's already beginning to suss that out, 3 years before the current moment. 5 years before the current moment.
I don't think he's just sussing that out. I think he's ushering it in by supporting Shae in doing this. I think that action, that's kind of the first time this has happened, and it's becoming more and more common, but it's only becoming common because there's a precedent for it. And this is that precedent. I think it's great. I think Lon was very forward thinking, and Hilo is much more of a traditionalist, and Lon was in a traditional structure, and Hilo is now in a rapidly changing structure, and it's just a mismatch of like where they needed to be,
I kind of saw it as Lon saying it to make Shae feel less guilty. Like, hey, in the future this will be normal. Like, it'll be okay.
Do you think he meant it still then, or? Yeah,
I think Lon was always trying to keep Shae have Shae have a landline to him and not just completely like abandon the family.
Mm-hmm.
So he was keeping that door open by being empathetic and understanding of her desire to go off with Gerald.
Gerald.
Fucking Gerald.
Gerald.
I buy that.
Yeah, I think that's a good read on it. As far as like this statement, it's an interesting one because it does seem like, yeah, that is where the world is headed, but the Greenbone clans seem like wholly in opposition to that. So
yeah,
I don't know how they fit in. That's a great question. I do not get it. I do not see it. They have to change. Maybe it's more like something like what it looks like in Espinia right now in the future, but
except without all these laws,
yeah,
oppressing my people.
True.
I mean,
Where they
We'll get to that.
We got a whole lot to say about that for sure.
I could see them spiritually kind of moving on in the direction of like legions of a larger army in a more controlled setting, like different legions of Greenbones, but in the way that they exist right and operate right now, that feels like a hard sell for like continuing.
Cool. All right. So we finally make it after that flash of a conversation to Heroes Day, and we get a dose of a history for what is effectively described as like our World War II stand-in, which I think is fun. Just a little bit here that I wanted to kind of talk about for people who maybe didn't latch into that. But KCON is just this big stand-in for East Asia again. And the closest analog for the occupation war is when Japan occupied China and where they lost most of their foothold in the Second Sino War. And they lost their foothold shortly therein, and then the A-bombs fell before they were able to fully retake the coast. But it has parallels that kind of ride in the same direction. And I just appreciate the way that kind of effortlessly she's making sure that we're aware that it is Asian influenced, but not calling out any one specific influence over anything else, which I think is good. Blends it all.
Well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hilo is, of course, seeding doubt in Ait through the Koban and Koban Otto's illness as he speaks about it at the Heroes Day portions. We also get to see his heaven ship, Prince Ion III, make an appearance and be kneeled to, saying words and, further entrenching their fealty to him and KCON on the whole. What do we think of sort of the I don't know, symbolic
pomp and
emperor?
Circumstance?
His heaven ship.
There you go.
Ooh.
Yes, his heaven ship.
Sounds like a bunch of frivolous bullshit.
It does.
It do.
It really does. I had completely forgotten. I don't know if it was mentioned or if I've forgotten that there was royalty on KCON.
Yeah.
Like, have they mentioned it before?
Mentioned. Yes,
It's
it was
been mentioned,
mentioned,
a few
but
times.
they didn't get. I don't think they dropped his name
Title?
previously. They never called him his heaven ship before. They definitely
that was
mentioned.
first.
Yeah.
But we knew there
emperors,
was like
but-
a prince.
Yeah, we knew there was like a royal family.
Yeah.
They have guards.
I did like that they were like, haha, I'd even kissing the feet of this figurehead.
I thought this was
Mhm.
bullshit, though. She just decided to start popping off.
Yeah. Like, Hilo was going to stick to the script.
Right.
So he says.
And he was, for the most part. I mean, he does kind of go out and he does a little bit of grandstanding by seeding some doubt underneath, Ait's feet, but not nearly what Ait does to Shae, of course.
I wonder what Hilo would have retorted if Shae hadn't come out of nowhere.
I feel like, he was about to blow up.
It's about to be a what? Girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know, because was it Ken or Tar that was trying to talk him off the ledge, too? It was like trying to pull him out. And it
He's
seemed
like,
like
"Okay,
he might
man."
have...
Yeah, I think it was Ken. There was like, we don't have to listen
Yeah.
to this shit.
Yeah, like, let's just leave.
Right. But then, of course, Shae charges in, hearing her good name besmirched, obviously sick and ill and completely unexpected here. And she says, "Enough. You've insulted and slandered me enough. You've called me a poor granddaughter, an unfit weatherman, unworthy of Jade, a traitor, and a whore. Ait Madashi, pillar of the mountain, I offer you a clean blade."
Pew, pew, pew.
I popped so hard for this. I just popped so hard for this. I was like,
I was like, oh shit. Now
Everyone's
it's going down.
There are those lines that just like give you chills when you read them, and you're like, fuck yeah. I was working out at the moment when I heard this again, and I was like, oh, it's still so good.
And I just like not knowing what to do. They're both like,
I love that she
they
caught her
both
off
like
guard
stare
a
at
little
each other
bit.
like, what? Oh shit.
Whoa. To catch I off guard like that,
It's great.
you know that you're really doing something.
I love it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And like
I was in
maybe not
full-on-
the best timing. Like maybe if she hadn't just had an abortion, she'd be in better fighting shape. I don't know.
Who knows?
Maybe.
But she did a great job.
So throughout all of this, Ite is doing this specifically to get at Hilo. I'm assuming she knows that Shae's not there. I wish I would have seen her face as Shae runs up to it. The one thing that Shae spouts off or fails to spout off in this like retort, she also called her unkekanese, which is insane to me. But like with the variety of other insults,
That's
maybe
kind of what was
doesn't matter
implied
that
when
much.
she called her a whore.
Yeah.
Whoring
Yeah.
off to other countries.
And unworthy of Jade.
It's like all of those things wrapped in one is that unkekanese, you know.
Okay.
But like, you know, she still could have retorted directly and been like,
Yeah.
You know, yeah. I'm with you.
Honestly, doesn't matter. It was a perfect speech.
Yeah.
It was a perfect comeback.
It's so good. So good. All right. So obviously we want to get to the duel, but we've got a little interlude to talk about real quick here that I'm going to do because Thomas is going to take care of the duel. So we've got our second interlude, The Two Thrones. Our interlude provides us with another blast of history talking about the transition between the Three Crowns period and the Two Thrones period. Kind of a neat little chapter. It's 2 pages of history. We kind of see the foundation of what eventually could be the clans in K-Con between these two warring sisters that are kind of traded between princedoms. And what you think of this whole segmentation of the story?
Seemed relevant.
Sound like a cool story. Write this one next.
Give me the history.
This was my favorite of the interludes so far.
Same. It feels the most relevant.
Yeah.
Directly relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not like, what? Wait, what are we talking about? Who's John? That was the last one.
Yeah.
Son of who? I don't care.
Yeah, right. Just sort of the irrelevance of that as he headed overseas, which is, again, paralleling Andon, right? And it's like, oh, who's John? Oh, I don't care about Andon. Okay, cool. Goodbye. Moving on.
Yeah, this one was, I mean, it was kind of tough to focus because I was like, get back to the fight. How dare you interlude me right now?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pumped.
Yeah, I did have the same thought where I was like,
Ugh.
an interlude? Shit. All right, it's
Skip it.
2 pages.
Yeah, literally so quick. I really enjoy the fact that they say that this is like a story that's told to children, of course, and that it's been reinterpreted. You can imagine like the equivalent of Shakespeare running with something like this and turning it into a play very easily, and the way that it would be adapted into a movie or otherwise. It's kind of fun. I think it's a fun little note that's sprinkled in there to say that this is something that the kids like, and I'll say that like we want it. Write it, Fonda. Give us this.
Yeah.
Even though we know how it ends. And a quote, of course, from this that I really enjoyed. Of course, it's the final line, I think, of the interlude. Out of small resentments spring great wars. And it's just that wonderful deist proverb that it's just right.
Mm-hmm.
And is relevant.
Mm-hmm. Immediately.
Mhm.
All this small petty bullshit is compiled into a duel for life
Yeah.
and honor and Jade.
And almost a full-blown war again.
But for that,
talk about
we'll
that
have to discuss
now.
Chapter 31, Stand You Were Drowned. We cut to Shae that very night, still reeling from her actions earlier in the day, unable to sleep and playing it out in her head in the prayer room of the tall estate. We learn that Hilo was shocked and furious with her, while Ken maintained a cool head and confidence in Shae. Hilo enters the room, interrupting her thoughts and offers some encouragement, or at least advice. in his own unique signature style. In the morning, Shae heads to the duel with the mates and Hilo, and when they arrive, Hilo reveals that should Shae fall in battle, he plans to break Aisho and seek revenge against the mountain. Clean blade be damned. When engages in a fearsome duel with Aitmata, coming an ear's breadth away from winning, but ultimately is defeated, surrendering to Aitmata and losing her jade, though keeping her life. So my first note here, holy shit. Just amazing stuff. Again, I'm going to echo across here. I'm going to try to keep us on the rails and avoid jumping to the end, because there's a lot of pre-duel stuff that's really, really awesome. One of the things to me that stood out is in the past, Ait obviously has a very fearsome reputation that precedes her. Fearsome strategist, fearsome businesswoman, fearsome pillar. And we've heard of her actions to secure her place in her new role. But seeing the reaction of Hilo, his fear, the fear of Shae, and all that, it's like the little exchange that she should have spent the past 6 months training for this if she knew that this fight was going to come. It feels like even before we get to the duel, there's like, it's so tangible how much of a badass and how deadly Aitmadashi is.
She's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. I mean, the way that she kind of walks out of the car and just like hands her sunglasses to her horn or whatever, and he just like puts them in his pocket.
That's also very cool.
Rehearsed.
Yeah, that's so great.
We need to practice that.
Yeah, that's like a really it's a really great way to show up to a fight, just because it looks like you're just gonna grab those glasses back and then, especially a fight to the death,
I'll need these later.
Like, I'm gonna need these back. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I think we'll get into it, but I also love the little she is a fucking awesome badass, but there's like some little vulnerabilities at the same time, that some chinks in the armor.
Well, like no one's seen her fight in a long time, but also like Shae hasn't been keeping up. Shae's last big fight was when Lon died, and she murder rage killed a bunch of people, and we're like, oh, she can still fight. That's good, but she has not been.
She said she practiced, but not like regularly.
Well, and a few chapters ago, when Hilo was with his trainer, he's like, "You need to call me. My schedule gets booked up," and she's like, okay. Even then we knew she wasn't keeping up with it.
Yeah, she's doing like a very basic workout regime, little regimen going on, and not for this.
Just picks up a couple dumbbells right before the fight, throws them aside. Yeah, I'm fucking
big.
ready.
Like the way I trained for a 5K.
I totally had the same train of thought as Shae going into this. Like, yeah, she's just kind of been the pillar. She doesn't have to fight. She probably hasn't been honing these skills. It'll be fine. And then the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh no. Fuck.
Which is very much what Shae does, yeah.
There's this Brazilian jiu-jitsu fighter named Marcelo Barrera. He's like a 3 or 4 time world champion. And he literally will be napping in the stands, and people will have to come wake him up when his match starts. And he just goes from cold to on and wins, because he's just like that kind of person who just like rolls out of sleep and can kick everyone's ass. And this has that same energy.
To sleep. It's all a facade.
It's a good facade, if so.
Yeah, if nothing else, it's great for show.
No.
Intimidation at max. Yeah.
I think Hilo being so concerned about Shae and like putting this other plan into place just shows not only he values Shae as weatherman, but he loves her as family, and then also he doesn't think she has a chance. Like those are kind of what
that was kind of fucked up.
Were apparent to me.
That was fucked up on multiple levels for Hilo.
I was wondering, and Shae kind of wondered this to herself. Like, is he just trying to, like, egg Shae on to make Shae, like, try to win? Like, as if she wouldn't try to win?
Or back down. I mean, there are a couple of different, like, ways to read into Hilo's move there, for sure.
Yeah. Make her, like, which would be so much worse.
I don't know if it's that deep. I think it's just, if you kill my little sister, you die. I don't care what the consequences are.
And I'll kill everyone you know.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think that's really all it was for him. Cut and dry.
But before that, still that night, I mean, so he does have that immediate reaction where he's just like, what the fuck? Like, you always do whatever you want. We're supposed to be a team. What's up? And it's my guy, fucking Mate Ken, cool, rational, great mate chapters here. We got Mate Wen being like, I'm here for you, ride or die. And then Mate Ken's like, Shae Jen can do this. Like, Light's just a pillar. Maybe Shae could do this. He believes in her. Love it. Great look for my guy, Mate Ken.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Thought to be
somebody
more
has to be the positive, you know? Like,
well,
it's just,
it'd be so depressing.
We're learning all these layers.
What's like true is it's like
nobody's seen her fight in 10 years.
And
it's a great point.
Shae has to do it now. It'd be such a weak move to be like, I offer you a clean blade. Just kidding, I'm scared of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it'd make her look so much worse. And the whole family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It reminded me of like Hilo being like, back out, what are you doing? It's like when Lon is offered the clean blade and Hilo's wounded and he's like, hey, you're the fucking pillar, you don't have to do this. Like, Ten or I will do this for you. It's no big deal. And he's just so protective of his siblings. Like, as aware of optics as he was as Horn and now as he is as pillar, goes out the window when his family's involved.
He's just a big softy.
I don't
just
know.
A big
he's
softy.
Just,
we know that.
He's just not been learning. I feel like he's just
Why
regressing.
didn't Hilo offer her a clean blade? He would have fucked her up, maybe.
I don't know.
Pillar v pillar.
That'd have been one for the ages.
Would have been cool. Maybe it's the internalized sexism we know about, right? Male green bones pretty much scoff at dueling women, female green bones. Maybe, we got a truce going on. Thinks it's bad for the brand. Who knows?
For the brand.
And I don't think it would have solved the same problems. Because even if he's successful, Shae is still in the hot seat after that scenario.
She's in the alive seat.
That's true. That's a good point.
Now, this chapter, though, also brings back one of my favorite things that these green bones do. And that is when Shae is praying in the prayer room, as, what else would you do there? She bent her head. Old uncle in heaven, judge me the greener of your kin tomorrow, if it be so. She murmured in prayer to Genshu the monk, the one who returned, the patron god of green bones. She paused. And if you judge otherwise, at least give me credit for a dramatic attempt. And so I just love the judge me the greener of your kin, if it be so, just like the honesty of it and how it's like, a little favor to ask. Nothing too much, nothing out of line here. If I'm the best, let me prove it out there. But then it's just like the little Riley funny bit at the end too with, and if not, hey, give me some credit because I'm dramatic as hell.
Or just don't let me like completely embarrass my entire clan.
Yeah. Let me go out as cool.
Make it a good show.
Yeah. So we did another interesting bit when Hilo enters the prayer room and he surprises Shae by doing the customary touching his head to the ground 3 times. And she says, I didn't think you believed in the gods, she said when he straightened. I don't, Hilo said, but the feeling's mutual, so maybe they won't hold it against me. Banger. We love that quote.
It's a perfect quote. Perfect for Hilo. For this scenario, for like he's doing this for her too. Clearly. Like he's not an idiot. He sees that she's been going to this prayer room regularly lately. And having him like in the same boat on her side like that, I think was probably I'm guessing his intention was to just do that to show as much support as possible for her. So I appreciate that. But
then he's like, praying's not going to do anything. Either get some sleep or get in the training room.
That's a good point too.
That's just good. That's just good brotherly advice though. What did we think about his visit to her in general though? Because I feel like generally Hilo's pretty good at motivating people. And here I kind of felt like he fell very short.
Shae's not one of his men, so I don't know, like, it's a different vibe. I don't think he connected as well there, but yeah, you're right. It's kind of interesting that he kind of failed in this moment, but
just Hilo being Hilo.
He doesn't know what she needs specifically.
She needs to have been preparing, but
yeah,
a little late.
Training with Hilo.
Yeah. It's not.
I think he did about as good as he could.
Yeah, I don't think he failed necessarily. It's just normally he's such a natural in it, and then it seemed like he did flub up a few times at least. But I did like the bit, like you have to believe you can beat her. Like it's up here. You win a fight up here before it starts. And
I think I'm pretty good at encouraging people. I am terrible at encouraging my siblings. So I can't help but think
you're like, fuck you. I mean, I love you.
Well, I mean, it's like you try to say something and they're like, you would say that like on any given Tuesday. And I'm like, yeah, but I mean it. No, I meant it. What? Fuck you. Like, I'm trying to help.
Yeah, I wouldn't be good at that either.
Yeah, right. Telling Bingham what to do is like running into a brick wall or giving Bingham advice.
Or running into a tree.
Yeah, cutting your own ear off.
I mean, with a moving truck.
Oh, god damn it. Fuck. That went right over my head. That was a giant whoosh.
Damn.
Fuck.
Never forget.
Extra relevant.
That brings us to the morning of the battle. Pivotal time. Shae has to make a decision how much jade to wear. I'm curious. I think I might have put in the notes a little later than this, but I'm curious what we think about her decision-making process here to not wear all her jade.
Seemed prudent, but maybe not the most confident thing at the same time.
Which, I mean, it kind of implied she had so much jade that it wouldn't really make that much of a difference if she wore all of it.
Made sense to me.
Like, it wouldn't make her that much faster or stronger.
Yeah, there seems to be some diminishing returns to adding more and more and more. So just from the sort of mechanical side of things, I appreciated that inclusion. Worked out for her in the end, the ultimate decision to just bring the choker with the bulk of it, but not everything.
And didn't she have her cuffs, her anklets?
Mm-hmm. She only lost the choker. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe if she
was
wore
wearing
all of it,
others?
she would have still just lost the choker. I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird because it says she leaves on her anklets and choker, but only mentions like handing the choker. But that might have just been just like, how are you gonna have your guts falling out and hand
she could
the
barely
anklets?
Yeah, just I know that we're kind of skipping to that point, but I feel like that's the difference between dying in this duel versus surviving. Like all of it would have been picked up if she died, versus like this was an offering of victory.
Right.
What did we think about
whoever brought up the idea of it kind of being a sign of a lack of confidence? I hadn't put that together, but that definitely looks that way to me a little bit in retrospect.
Yeah, she's just very realistic,
It fit with her character, and it like
she's not being emotional. She's like, I have nephews. I can't just selfishly throw away all my jade.
Yeah, I like the idea of like leaving it behind for your family, and that made sense. Like I said, it seemed mostly to me like a prudent decision, not necessarily like one that was a bad or motivated by fear or something like that. Maybe a little bit, but who wouldn't be afraid in that situation?
Right.
I took it also as a sign that she was thinking about life after, if she was planning like, hey, I don't want to lose all my jade. So
yeah,
it's not, I just initially when I read it, I took it as, that's not a good sign. She's clearly thinking she's going to lose. But then I was like, well, she has to live to recover her jade.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think she's going to get that choker back at some point?
I don't know.
You want to bet on
gonna
it?
get it.
The way things are going, that's as good of a guess as any.
No, I don't want to bet on
it. No? Fucking shit.
Barrow horny for Call Jade.
Ben, are you thinking you want to make a bet on the Joker? It sounds like you wanted to make a bet on the Joker.
I'd like to. Right. Somebody would.
What's your bet?
I'll do it with you.
I think Shae gets it back by the end of the series.
Not the book.
By the end of the series.
I think so too. I think she does as well. God, I really want Aitmata to go through to just put the whole thing on and go through the same jade overexposure that Lon did. But
wouldn't she need to start taking shine?
She would.
She
has access to it.
Probably do a better job taking shine than Lon.
Also, presumably, Shae's jade isn't poisonous, so
maybe she mixed gold in it.
Poisonous.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Well, it's still out there.
I don't know.
This is going to end until the very end of the series.
Last sentence.
This theory will never die.
I'm abstaining.
All right, I have the bets down. All right. That's more than acceptable.
What else we got on this chapter?
We got a lot.
Not much.
We got the fight.
Here's the
Let's
thing.
just move on.
Really quick, I want to shout out the description of the Moonblade. Love a Moonblade, love a sword in a fantasy novel. The Datsunori steel, love it. Very Kill Bill.
But like specifically a white blade too. Like not like a steel silver blade, but like white. And that finally strikes like an image of like, oh, this is why they're called Moonblades. You know.
I like that they had specific lengths. They're like Harry Potter wands.
Nerd.
You're not right. I too appreciated that.
This is the first time we've seen a Moonblade be used, correct? So like it's always been Talon knives, right?
Nope. Lon used a Moonblade.
Yeah.
He favored it.
Right.
Yeah. Also, when they were like rating variously, you know, people had Moonblades pulled technically, but you know, we didn't really see it up close, except for Lon's. Cool.
Cool shit.
So they arrive at the place where the duel is going to be held, and there's just a giant assembled crowd here. The picnic blankets, like, felt very much. It's just like the whole, you know, she thought they were interrupting a public festival, and then realizing she is the public festival, and the social progress Tetanese style. Thought was a very funny, like Shae just keeping her humor, keeping her wits about her bit.
Yeah, saying it's social progress because two women are dueling.
To the death.
Normally women don't kill each other. Maybe
And
we're
attracted
smarter.
huge, yeah. Maybe. Seems that way.
The picnic blanket, though, makes me think, you know, it's a spectacle. It's almost like a parade, you know, like...
I don't know. I was thinking of that like famous painting of all the people like sitting on
in the park.
lawn in the park. Yeah. I don't know why that popped in my head, but I could not get it out of there.
Their little umbrellas.
Yeah.
They're probably more chill and spread out than this crowd.
I was just thinking about imagining them dueling through that situation. I don't know why that was in my head, but
that's funny.
I think imagery of this event and how celebrated it is going to be seen as perverse and horrifying by the like foreign media. Like I can't imagine that any photos or videos of this event getting out is a good thing for the prospects of these Jade clans living in a blended society like we've been talking about in the beginning of this series or the beginning of this episode. Like it is wildly different.
Is anyone filming? Are there cell phone cams? How are they going to see?
They're not cell phone cams, but
if only.
But there's journalism. Like I'm sure there will be photos. Maybe not a TV broadcast, but I'm sure there'll be photos of it.
I mean, Andon hears about it in Espinia, but maybe through letters.
Through the grapevine.
yeah, okay. So right before the duel, there's obviously the thing we touched on already with what's Hilo telling Shae, you know, hey, if things don't go our way, I got guys coming here. I got guys going everywhere to fuck up the mountain. And he's just like, his tone is so eerie, almost like a slasher villain, devoid of emotion, deadpan. Some blades can't be cleaned. Just shudders, and not in the good way that we got from Shae's weatherman. Like, I challenge you to a clean blade in the previous chapter. And you're like, uh-oh, Hilo, you know, as far as you've come, don't know about this for you, big cat.
I like it. Some blades can't be clean. That's right. Fuck them up.
It is it's very
Break
cool.
Aisho. Throw down.
I didn't approve.
I approve. I'm on Team Hilo.
You know, I'm a big honor guy.
I think I'm also on Team Hilo, but man, I am also a big honor guy. But like, can you imagine having your like entire family destroyed in front of you and not just being like, "Fuck it, blaze of glory"? Like this is the
person.
end.
Yeah,
he has two kids and a third on the way.
Well,
And she challenged.
He's going to win, though, is what you have to understand.
Yeah.
I think he's going to win. I'm also Team Hilo. I was playing nice when I said I'm not sure about that big cat.
2 kids and a third on the way. He's like, yeah, I gotta fucking kill this bitch because she's killing all of my family.
That's true.
Plus, like, without Shae, how long does No Peak have?
No.
You know what I mean? Might as well try to seize the initiative right now.
Plus, Woon would die. That's a completely thing from the next chapter. But, you know.
Fucking Woon.
Sweet boy.
Sweet boy Woon.
I do not quite understand Hilo's motivation for telling her like this. Right before the duel, it's just going to throw her off, and it's not anything that she needs to know about. Ultimately, it saves her life. Like, she leverages it as the means of surrendering. But
I think she needs to know in case she needs a Hail Mary. In case she's like, okay, Hilo, bring in the troops. I'm about to fucking die.
It also speaks to, just in a very subtle way, it also speaks to the lack of Hilo's faith in religion in its own right, where it's like, he never got to say to Lon that he was going to avenge him, and so he wants to have her know that that's going to happen. Like, I think there's some sort of ritualistic send-off there, too, for him, where it's like, just so you know, I'm going to make this up if you die.
I was going to say something similar, but you said it more eloquently. I like that read.
Why, thank you.
Did he technically already break Aisho with his Gaunt Ash duel?
I think that is that skirting Aisho?
Yeah.
I
think that's the name of the chapter.
Yeah. So there's this thing that keeps happening where the other side will do something and the other one's like, oh, they don't care about Aisho, these dogs, these brutes, these savages. But Hilo at least thinks he's following Aisho and seems to be adhering to it at least slightly more closely than we've seen the Mountain.
The reason that they can't strike out in the same way is because his skirting Aisho was a death of consequence, and anything that happens during a death of consequence is fair game.
Okay. Except bringing in another person.
Well, literally no in this case.
Fair.
Yep.
All right, enough beating around the bush. Holy fuck, this duel is awesome. It's incredible. I pictured the whole time it was like the crazy 88 duel with the bride, and then when she fights Lucy Liu, whose character's name I'm forgetting from the movie. Also, I had the put her on the Troy soundtrack in the background for the Hector Achilles duel. It was very sick. So it's just awesome, and you're like, the description of the blades just going so fast, and the tandem use of how Ait uses her channeling abilities in tandem with like her sword strikes, and she's just so good at fighting. How Shae is like holding her own at first. It's just brilliant.
Yeah, I like the moment where they both realize that like Shae has a chance to be like, oh fuck, and she's like,
she cuts the earlobe. Yeah, that's sick. Yeah. At that point, I did think maybe she has a chance, but I was like, nope, she doesn't. This was really well done. Extremely exciting.
I'm glad that Shae didn't win either.
Well, we can get to that, but I do feel like that was very cleverly done as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we already know there's no plot armor because of Lon, so
yep.
Shae could have bit it.
But yeah, I thought this was awesome. Easy to picture, easy to follow, and like you said, the combined sword fight plus like powers fight aspect of it was really awesome.
All the small deflections are so cool, where it's like just narrowly like pushing in and out. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're coming off of reading a lot of Brandon Sanderson. Right now I'm rereading Red Rising. All for very different reasons. All three of these authors have amazing combat descriptions. This one, I think what it presented the best for me was how snappy this is and how quick these decisions are and how just so narrow every split-second decision has to be. It's intense, it's flashy, it's bloody, and it is
fast.
Amazing.
The entire scene is slow-mo.
And that's kind of like what samurai fights were like, too. They were like very quick affairs.
10-second duels.
Yeah.
On average.
Mm-hmm.
Quick and dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then, so we did that brutal, incredible fight. And then Shae's wherewithal to have her guts leaking out and to just think through like 117 outcomes of what her actions could be and should be, sensing everything around her, all of Hilo's people, the charged atmosphere, and just having the plan to be like, I concede. And then thinking through like the fucking political outcomes of what Ike could do. And like, it's just so like, so surreal to have how high a level she was processing at in that moment as her life is literally leaking out of her.
Reading the clouds.
Just knowing that I could have killed Shae, but she lost that moment the minute she let Shae talk.
And then Shae just seized the high ground immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was
Ben,
well
I have to
done.
give you a particular complment for saying read the clouds in that context, because, oh my God, you hit me with that line.
Yeah, that was awesome. I mean, and I like we just kind of touched on, like, I feel like so cleverly done, because it feels like going in, this chapter almost has to end in a death, but then it doesn't, and it's still satisfying.
Yeah.
You know, like I wasn't like disappointed that somebody didn't die, or like, you know, I figured going in, I was like, there's a pretty good shot that Shae was going to die in that chapter. And I was like trying to game that out in my head. Like, that doesn't really make sense. There's, you know, a whole third of this book left. It's only the second book. Like, how would she get out of that?
Just kill all of the No Peak siblings.
Right. But then I was like, but she can't really, like, it's not like Shae can win either, because that wouldn't make sense, like, with
skill-wise, right?
Skill-wise, and just like how much they've built up Aitmadashi at this point. But what this actually achieves is it makes Aitmadashi look just the slightest bit vulnerable, which adds some tension to that situation, because it did seem kind of like,
oh, we can't. She does bleed,
right? And then, like, we still have Shae, and she was able to kind of recover her reputation and show people that. So it was a good 2-for-1 there. I thought that was awesome. Really well done.
Good job, Shae. And she prevented Hilo from starting an all-out war.
And yeah, saved the whole fucking situation with Hilo too. Yeah, you're totally right.
I have a question. Cross, do you have any content-related questions?
I do.
Okay.
I just have one final kind of note on this from my own that I haven't heard yet. I really appreciate Ait's kind of final line here, right? You've acted disgracefully in the past, call Shae-Lin-san. Nevertheless, it would be a waste to kill a fellow Greenbone at a time when Keikon needs every one of us. And then she wipes her blade and says, my blade is clean. And this just furthers the sort of jingoistic nature that she's trying to drive, of like this sort of warlike culture and moving out and being really offensive to these national allies, making strong the patriotism for Keikon, and just kind of she attempts to like further entrench that, especially in opposition to Shae here. And I, you know, of course you would, of course, floundering for something, but
yeah, I hate that she's leaning into this stuff.
She watches too much Fox News. We gotta.
I know, she
turn it off.
Like that. I had that same thought. I was like, she's on that Fox News.
She's just
Keikon,
like the mainstream
whatever the
media.
Keikon Fox News is.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
What would it be?
He's no longer on Fox News now.
And rest in piss.
Yeah.
I think these are two very smart, conniving women, and they both played the cards that were dealt
It's like
to
they
them.
played a chess match to a draw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Shae almost died, so she probably lost.
Well, that's right. Yeah. I mean,
It's like a draw, but both kind of feel like they won almost.
Yeah. But it was like, it was a big moral victory for her too.
Mm-hmm.
I think later chapters would lead me to believe that Shae won pretty decisively.
What? Was that a spoiler?
I mean, I would
No,
agree
like what we
just
read
based
here.
on what we read. Yeah. She's like back.
I was
She's
trying
like
to catch Thomas.
I already told you I didn't
Trying to get
reread this.
she was in full Shae got her groove back mode.
Yeah.
It's like she went down to Jamaica and, you know, had sex with a 20-year-old black man. And then, sorry, cut all that. That's the plot to Stella got her groove back.
Yeah, no, I totally understood. I knew exactly what you were going for.
I
was lost.
No one else got it, which is the worst kind of moment.
You could have just said a Jamaican, maybe.
I was lost.
Sorry, nobody's seen that movie. Stella got her groove back.
Fuck about Stella.
Got Ben? That's the best one yet.
Ben Carlson?
Oh, got him.
Okay.
Pick Aitmana scary, and the thing she like whispers to Shae at the end is like, okay, like she's already bleeding out. I had to get one more little cut in.
She tries though, but it's like a weak
But Shae's
one.
like blacked out.
It's just like it doesn't quite land the same way, you know?
Yeah. It's like, okay, we get it. You're scary. Shut up.
Yeah, it didn't hit for me either, because it was like, you wanted to kill her a second ago. Now you can't be like, oh, it's all part of the plan.
Right.
Like, I take your L. It's fine.
We've been talking a lot about her fragility, and I think that just highlights it.
And I mean, she's out here saying basically like Shae's not a green bone, you know, or basically just like a fake green bone.
She's cut half your ear off.
And then she just basically legitimizes her right then. So
yeah.
Eight with a sewn on half an ear, or does she wear her half ear with shame?
I think she wears her hair down.
Out.
Yeah.
I think that she lost the ear.
Only Princess Leia haircuts from now on for her.
With the fucking space buns.
We return to Shae, having just returned home after a 12-day stint in the hospital after her duel with Ait. We catch up with Woon Papidanwa, planning a wedding and putting the question of Hami's loyalty on notice while Shae was out. She returns to work and finds that her loss has solidified her place in the minds of her employees and in the clan at large. She meets with a cowed Councilman Cowie, say that 5 times fast, and the 2 other lantern men who met with Hilo. Shae has her own ideas for Hami, of course, that we'll definitely address later in the week. She heads to the university to have a difficult conversation with Morrow that ultimately leads to the end of their relationship. Very disjointed summary, because how the hell do you blend all of the different things that Shae does in her life over the course of these 10, 12 pages into one cohesive idea? But holy cow, does she get a lot accomplished after she wins the sort of trust and honor back that, you know, she deserved in the first place.
My boy Woon.
He's ready to just let it all go.
He's going to lay on the sword.
Man, how romantic.
Yeah, that was fucking wild.
Like, aren't you getting married, Woon? Does your fiance know about how you feel?
Ready to risk it all.
Yeah, I love your undertone there, Aaron, which is like, oh, you still have the hots for Shae despite getting married. But is it not also like the familial honor, do you think, at all? Like the like, I failed Lon and I failed you?
I think it's because he loves Shae. His fiance is his rebound.
His fiance is his rebound.
His aura changes when the wedding's brought up.
Your aura is showing, Woon.
He's just excited to see her.
Yeah. There's also a note that I wanted to bring up too, which is that Shae has earned some badass scars. The whole chapter opens with her looking in the mirror and noticing from like navel, like mid chest, she's basically been torn open, which is interesting because where the scar lies is similar to where a cesarean section would be. So I just had this moment of like, there's some interesting parallels there.
Put that together.
The sort of physical scarring that she gets and what she went through otherwise.
Very
Damn
tough.
Cross.
Very tough.
Thanks.
It's deep.
Thanks.
Deep as a C-section.
Hit the drop.
Yep.
That's some good book reading.
For the record, people in the Discord have actually taken a couple of your catchphrases, Ben, because they added a new feature where you actually have a sound box that you can like hit the sounds for, and they've turned a couple of your phrases, and PJ being like, I'm so high right now, I think are the only couple that are in there.
Actually, PJ is high.
Yeah, PJ is high. It's in third person. You're right.
Yeah. That sounds like me.
That's some good book reading is definitely in there.
Can I have to comment on this scar situation. I have had my gallbladder and my appendix removed, And so all I could think about when I read this is just my own stars on my stomach, and I did not take in any of this information about her star.
It's not about you,
all.
Thomas.
No, I know. None of it penetrated. I was just like me for real is all I heard.
None of it penetrated except Ait's Moonblade.
Blade.
Only a little bit. You know, her steel was okay.
Pretty good. Not perfect though. So moving away from the scars, obviously with back to Woon, there's this moment where he says that he could bring more jade out of the stores to remake the choker, and they choose not to. What'd you make of that choice where she refuses the additional jade, or to like just be given something that she didn't earn?
That would have felt so cheap. Everything about that, like the honor sort of aspect of all of this, would have been entirely removed if she had decided to just like, oh, I'm incredibly wealthy and have all of this extra jade, so this battle meant nothing in that respect. So I like her decision.
Yeah, I think it's obvious that she can't do the choker because of perception alone. She could put jade elsewhere, not on display, but I don't know if you can tell the levels in an aura.
I like how she described it kind of as a badge of honor, kind of just as a, you know, a scar that's not.
And like Ait has to wear her
really there.
half ear.
Not physically there, I mean.
But Ait can cover her scar, her ear with her hair. So Shae could cover, you know.
She could, but I mean, I don't
Some
know.
of balaclava?
That reminder is like that missing choker. I don't know. That's like to everybody. Like, did you fucking challenge Madashi and survive a duel with her? No, I did. It doesn't matter that she lost it, but like every time somebody sees that, that's what they're thinking of. Like, damn.
Seemingly the only one to wound her too, and we know that she's been in other duels previously.
My whole point isn't the choker. Like, I don't think she should wear the choker, but if she's really going through like withdrawals of not having all her jade, like, why not?
Yeah, I
put some in her pocket.
100% agree. Yeah, I wasn't like pushing back on you. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I offer you a clean blade.
Wow.
Shit, guys. Okay, so we gotta flip to recorded video. Gotta figure out how to do that real quick. See you tomorrow.
Or plastic.
If I may. Seems like an overreaction.
Seems more similar to a South Trap clean bladed duel.
Yeah, can we just...
I offer you an ass kicking.
That was just good fun.
Yeah.
I do, like, if she had chosen, I don't know why my brain's going down this path, but she could have had a great opportunity if she had decided to raid the stores for more jade. And if she would have done it a little bit sooner, she could have had the surgeons like just shove a bunch into her like chest cavity as they had it open, so she could never lose it again.
PJ, can I say
I thought you were going back
now?
to butt plugs.
Cut, butt plug.
Butt plug. The butt plug bit is available exclusively if you are a Words and Whiskey patron.
That's right. Pay us.
Pay us for butt plugs.
For our opinions on butt plugs. No reviews, just opinions.
For Words and Whiskey and
Oh yeah, we need a branded butt plug. Yeah.
I mean,
Now we're talking.
We have so much other like merch, and then we're gonna have a green butt plug. Like, is that what we're going to do?
Absolutely.
W and W and
All right.
S and M.
God damn it. Love it. Love it.
I have to, because PJ, your suggestion is just so reprehensible.
And they
that
didn't
it
have her
needed to
chest
be
open. It was
acknowledged.
her lower gut.
It's just have
yeah.
some decorum, man.
just imagine a doctor just shoveling, just packing.
I don't think that'd be good for the
I'm
healing
gonna go vomit.
process.
I'll be back.
Would it work?
Ooh, you could get like a solid plate.
Ugh.
So that
Mhm.
then if
There
someone
you go.
tried to cut you there again, you'd hit the jade and not go into the guts. Like, fool me once.
Mm-hmm.
I'm physically ill.
I know.
We need some jade body armor
I need some ginger
Jade
ale.
body armor
Under
Some-
the skin.
internal.
under the skin.
PJ, you weren't even drinking and you're here. Okay. I'm just kidding.
Does anyone have a cigarette I could have? Jesus Christ.
I don't think that'll make your stomach feel better.
Yeah, true. So, how do we feel about Hami after Woons asked for his resignation? How do we feel about Hami in general? You know, kind of going into this. Obviously, we can tie this into the conversation about him going overseas, but starting with Woon, and then we can move into Shae and Hami.
Yeah, I think Woon standing up for Shae again. He's got the hots.
That was dope though, where he's like went in and asked.
He's like, "Give me your ear, bro."
Hami for his resignation.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, Woon Poppy. And
then Hami, I think I was like, yeah, get rid of that fool. But then Shae made a lot of good points. So now I agree with Shae.
Yeah. I had a similar journey with Hami. I was
fuck you. And then I was like, oh, I guess you're okay.
Yeah.
And
we can put this guy to some use.
You can get even more loyalty when you forgive and, show value to what he was doing there.
I love that that was when she was talking to the other guys, but when she's like, I can forgive once, but twice. You're never friends in the first place. Yeah, but basically it was like, I'll fucking kill you.
Twice, I'll clean blade you and get more than your ear, bro.
But yeah, this was all skillfully done by our great weatherman.
Yeah. So we'll come back to Hami and maybe the choice to move overseas and that decision that he makes. But I do want to talk quickly about Koei being cowed. And cowed Councilman Koei is, again, the tongue twister for anyone who feels the challenge, the need. But
who came up with that?
I did write it. It was my own doing. Yeah, I did that. Do we feel like Shae handled that situation correctly in the way that she manipulated it? Do we think that she should have just gone for the ear? Do we think that her sympathy was, it is kind of sympathy. Her leaning in the moment. Do we think that was a good thing?
I think it's a very line.
I think the only reason she was able to is because she just proved herself to be a badass fighter. So she could not worry about looking soft or weak. Because obviously she's none of those things. But before the duel, she would have needed to like hang some peeps to keep her foot low.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it was gotten to a point. Like I think she had she's discredited them so much at this point that she's able to just kind of dictate their next steps. So,
and to tie a bow on it with the threat of,
fool me again.
If I have to forgive you again, you're not a friend. Like you were never a friend, and that hang, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very big deal, I think. Especially as the others also kind of bow down in the moment, the other Lantern Men, of course. Moving back to Hami in the first confrontation between her and Shae, she gives him this offer of moving over and taking over the operation in Port Massey, specifically in South Trap, and where they're looking at setting up these new sort of college student learning communities and becoming in charge of operations. It also means that he's stripped of his Jade because of laws there, not by her own technicality. His family's still young. He's seeking upward movement. He's not so old that this seems like shame. What do you guys think of this choice or decision on Shae's part? And do you think Hami will go for it?
I think Hami was into it. And I think it is it's like the perfect, here's a new opportunity for you, but also a giant slap on the wrist for your transgressions.
I think Hami liked it because he said he and his wife were talking about traveling abroad.
Right, but she still gets this little punishment in where he loses his Jade. Not for good, but he has to go through withdrawal and not have
she's
Jade.
She's it's not that bad.
Yeah, I thought it was just extremely well balanced, punishment, but still Aaron was talking about, you're still bringing someone close by forgiving them. So it kind of works out both ways.
And the way she presents it, it's not an ultimatum. It's his free choice. He has a week to do it.
Talk to his family.
Yeah, and there's not a demotion. There's not a risk
not an
of firing
on the other side. Yeah.
I think it's just kind of a perfect win-win scenario to a certain degree.
And he knows he did something like not the best. So like he's willing to kind of accept the punishment as well.
I don't know. He seems to like, he's like, I was just doing what you hired me to do, which is to like, you know,
I mean, my man
tell the
knows he
truth.
did something wrong.
Yeah, it's almost so I don't necessarily read spite into the decision, if that makes sense, but I do. There is something uncouth about what he did. So there's like this fine balancing of like, well, Shae doesn't think that what you did was so bad because you were being reasonable in your decision making process, but at the same time, I have to take some kind of counteraction. But it's a lateral
loyalty.
move. Yeah.
There's not.
Yeah, prove it, I guess, is also the other side of this.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Cool. Like that. So we move to Marrow and Shae, the big one of this chapter. She goes to the university. They meet up at a table in a park. I get very big X-Men, Magneto, and Xavier meeting up to play chess vibes.
Oh, nice.
I got that same vibe. That's weird.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that is exactly my sentiment in this moment, or the way that I pictured the scene around with like birds flying in the air and chirping and, you know, kind of folding chairs at a place. So they have this confrontation, of course, about the future, and it's just, man, it's a brutal breakup. It's very tough to kind of watch Marrow kind of finally come to terms with a lot of things. But on the other side of this, Shae solidifies who she is, which has been a big issue for a book and a half at this point, of whether or not she felt fully like a Greenbone or not. And she's been kind of dancing around this line, and she's came to the other side of this now, being like, no, this is who I am. This is my culture, and I'm not going to back down from that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, Marrow, you're just not enough man for me.
Woof. Woof.
Ooh.
I felt bad for him at the end when he's like, so what does this make us? It's like, dude, she just laid it all out. It has been laid out in front of you.
Go
like,
duel someone. Get some Jade.
yeah, like it makes you not boyfriend and girlfriend. That's what it makes you.
And it also doesn't make you friends.
Yeah,
I don't think that's going to work out.
It makes you broken up with. So that's where we're at. That was just so funny to me. I don't know. Been there, buddy.
I'm not gonna lie, this is the best written breakup scene I've ever read in any piece of fiction. It is so incredibly well done, where it's like this moment of where you want to like go up behind them and like pat them and hug them and treat it the same as you might have a month ago, but it's just not
you can't,
it's not where you're at.
Yeah, that was well done.
Yep. And you know, Marrow and Shae might have worked out if Marrow met Shae before Gerald.
Yeah.
If only.
Or before like Lon dies, yeah.
Yeah, but at this point, you know, she kind of knew it before the abortion. She came to terms with all the reasons why, like, you know, her dating Marrow is bad for Marrow. And, you know, his background makes it complicated for her. So
it's not meant to be.
Little Romeo and Juliet here.
Sorry about you.
PJ?
I can't think that Marrow would be that surprised after not hearing from her for a month. Like, this can't be that surprising, right?
Men are incredibly dumb.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I am incredibly dumb.
She's like, oh, sorry, I lost your number. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, fine. Yeah, you totally threw your phone in a dumpster somewhere in Wisconsin for some reason. Yeah, no, I believe that. What?
I've just been really
Ross, are you okay, man?
I'm great. That was years ago. We're good. Yeah.
Do you need to offer a clean blade?
I'll drive you there.
This is such a funny story, but I cannot tell it on air because I did the opposite of lending a clean blade. I found out the guy that my girlfriend was cheating on me with, and I texted him, and we became friends and confronted her because he was also not telling her about me. So we then put her in a group chat and addressed it.
Her together.
No. She
with him though, bromance.
Bromance.
God damn it. We found ourselves in a love triangle without knowing each other, and so we We did it.
You
we
completed the triangle.
We handled it well.
We solved the triangle like adults, being like,
And you
neither of
brought
us
in
are
a
going to
butt
pursue
plug.
this. You're an asshole, etc. What's it?
So
Cut, cut, cut.
now they're
And so
happily
forth.
married.
No.
You and the guy.
They broke up with her
No,
simultaneously.
it was a
Oh.
twist.
Oh, I didn't know if you heard him say it.
Well, there that is. So, yeah. Any other notes on Marrow and the end of this relationship?
I have a silly
don't think
one
it's
if no
the
one else has
end.
anything.
You don't think it's
You
the
don't think
end
it's
of
the end?
Marrow?
I think we'll hear from him again when he finds out his unborn baby was murdered.
Oh, fuck.
Mm.
And
Maybe he's going to show
I
up
think-
as like a hostage at some point. Damsel in distress.
That would play.
This little
At that
Some
point, though,
Jade
like,
stud.
let her have him.
Jade boy with one stone or whatever.
Mhm.
it's also yet
His
another
two.
relationship with a like foreign, not quite the same as the like actual like military member that she was
Shae
with
is
before.
not being very patriotic.
Nope. And this totally opens up
In the
more review or more interviews with ex-lovers that paint her in a bad light. Like,
was she Taylor Swift?
At this point,
Isn't Taylor Swift the one painting everyone
yeah,
else?
it's the other way around. It's the other way around. Right.
I was just
Right,
the
right.
long list of ex-lovers. You know what I mean? Tell her she's insane. Here's my question about Shae.
Yes.
Trying to read a book on the subway. What kind of books do we think Tall Shaylin San is reading?
Probably nonfiction.
I was going to say
How to run a
nonfiction,
country.
history,
Lame,
like
boring.
Do you think she's
biographies or
reading
something like that.
theology and studying the gods?
She's a biography, nonfiction type person, I feel like.
I think she's got some enemies to lovers romances going on.
Yeah, she hasn't gotten any in a bit. She's been in the hospital for a while.
She
I don't
loves
know.
musicals. You know
Could
what
be
I
a
mean?
romance.
Softer than she appears.
Okay. I like it. Like that call.
Could
life
be
is
a
history, you know what I
fanfic of
mean?
The Warring Sisters, you know?
She's reading off of Oprah's favorite things.
Yeah, that
there's Oprah's book club.
Yeah,
Got
the
a
reporter that she
standing
gave the
subscription to
profile
it.
to.
Love that.
Incredible.
Cool.
And I believe that brings us to chapter 33. Not a safe place. Andon's second year in Port Massey is quite unlike his first. He has friends. He's making money. He is undergoing a sexual awakening with his first love, perhaps? Tori? Part of this includes continually going to the grudge hall on Friday nights, despite the medium opposition from Mr. and Mrs. Hyun. Things wind down as Tori makes ready to go on a backpacking trip before beginning law school in the fall, and the pair and their friends make one final visit to the grudge hall before he departs. The vibe is celebratory, with Andon showing off pictures of his nephews at Tori's behest. We also learn some news about others in the group, including that their friend Todd is enlisting in the Espenian army, setting off a discussion. Suddenly, the grudge hall is attacked, and Tori and his friends respond, Andon rushing along with them despite being jadeless. As the attack continues, we see why Roan Toru is the horn of South Trap. Some quick thinking from Andon and a touching display from Tori. In the aftermath, Andon is tasked with slowing the cops while Roan gets the civilians out. Action-packed chapter, lots of stuff going on here. What do we think of Andon's year 2 in Espenia?
It's getting more interesting because Andon was pretty boring there when he started out.
Yeah, I was having a tough time with Andon and Espenia, but this was better. Also, why were you ever mad about getting sent to an Espenia in the first place? You're having the time of your life.
You're having sex.
You're having sex.
I don't think he's in love with Corey. It plays as like severe infatuation and obsession
and horniness.
Yeah, and it's like horniness for Dick and Jade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that got kind of weird.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy
I was
is
really-
horny for Jade. And
There were a lot of
butt
moments
plugs.
in this chapter where I was surprised Andon didn't like
Put on
ask
Jade.
for some Jade, put something on.
I that's what I wanted to happen.
Could have
like-
been cool.
You know, or like one of the guys with Jade falls dead and he like picks it up and throws a deflection or something.
Even just like holds hands with them and goes, pew.
And everyone's like, "Oh dang, Andon's better than all of us at Jade stuff."
I
Like,
mean,
that's the moment we're
medical
waiting
channeling could have been a perfect opportunity.
Well, he said it was too late. He's like, yeah, that dude's dead.
That's true.
That was funny.
That's a good point.
No, I thought this was exciting, and it really makes Andon come to terms with, like, wait, I'm the powerless one. Like, this whole situation. Corey's like, what are you doing? I told you to stay back. And Andon's like, he's not used to being the damsel in distress. So
it's also
I don't think he likes it.
Good point. Astute. Before that, there is the interesting discussion that plays out between the Hyans and Andon about the Grudge Hall and why they believe he's so drawn to it, and that juxtaposition of how the safest place to be in Janloon is a Greenbone establishment. And here, quite the opposite might be true, as plays out later in the chapter, of course. And then also just like, Andon finally has real parental figures in his life, long overdue.
Grandparental.
Maybe a little, but like, you know what I mean? He had this weird like hero worship thing with Lon and the calls and never really felt at a place. And now it's like, these are people who are just normal people that he can kind of feel more comfortable with. And they have had children, so they know how to raise him and help him and nurture him.
Give him a curfew.
They should, even though he's an adult. But hey, man, we're fucking tired. You gotta get home earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this whole underground world in Espenia of the Grudge Hall. And I also love the like Mr. and Mrs. Hyan, not wanting to live anywhere else despite the failings of the neighborhood and the crime, because like, where else is there a Kekanese grocery store that you can walk to? There's plenty of cities all over the world where you can find like your culture, your familial grocery store where, you get what you want. They have on-brand Cheez-Its. I'm like, okay, I can live here. I can walk over there, get my Cheez-Its. So yeah, I think you're right that it kind of brings Andon down to earth. And he's like, this is what stability looks like.
I think that bit you brought up though with the like Kekanese grocery store, I thought this chapter as a whole, obviously this is a fantasy world, but it parallels our own in a lot of ways. But this chapter was just like, seemed to be such a window into life as an immigrant in a nation that's not your own. And a number of ways. One of which is, we get to the party and there's a couple interesting things that happened, but most relevant for the segue I just kind of ham-fistedly let us down. Todd, one of Corey and Andon's friends, enlisted in the Espenian army. And there's like a whole lot of fucking, bags of worms that are raised here, questions, discussion within the chapter, and that I think we could have as well.
Thomas, quick segue question or side question. How many bags of worms have you handled?
A lot, actually. I'm not to lie to you.
Okay. All right. Just curious.
Bags of worms?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he said. So I just,
what's the actual expression?
Bundle transition or otherwise.
Q.
Yeah. Right.
I couldn't think of the actual expression, so I just said fuck it and said bag.
You're drinking water. I just thought it was very funny.
Yeah.
I just thought bag of worms was very funny.
It made more sense because, fishing, you get a bag and it's in a little thing, but it's a bag of worms.
Yes, in a bucket generally.
Yeah, I've always had them in like little takeout containers cube. Almost. Yeah.
Styrofoam's almost illegal in New York, so got those. Remember, you could just walk to a grocery store, or not like a gas station back to the way and get some night crawlers.
What happened
to this country?
Fun side tangent. If you've ever bought scented night crawlers, I
have not.
Great grandpa owned the patent on that and has been getting paid for it forever.
Nice.
But what he did with that money is bought the trailer park that he lived in. So that.
Nice.
King of the
trailer parks and worms. Love it.
Hell yeah, brother.
So back to the reason we're all here today.
Yep.
Bag of
worms.
Yes, the political, discrepancies here with the friend enlisting in the army and saying like, we want them to see us as, joining in and defending Espenia. And
that was fucked up, man.
Not just as like thugs.
Yeah. I didn't like it.
I see it both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, those kids have grown up there. Like, they are Hispanian.
That's true. You got to see it both ways.
They just want to fit in.
Yeah.
Is he a greenbone?
Yes.
Or is he just...
Yes, he is.
He is? Yeah. So
With
I
potential.
wonder
Yeah,
if
there's a
he'll
discussion.
go down a specific track like that.
What do you mean?
Like, as an enlistee in this military or in this army, if he'll be put on a specific like greenbone track now that they're starting to use Jade in the military.
In the chapter, they answer that question. Basically, they're like earmarked for special forces because they have the natural Jade resistance, Jade tolerance, and also he has to give up his Jade that he wears. Yeah, he has to give up the Jade that he owns now and has to like start at square one with the rest of the Hispanian cadets, which is one of the things that's brought up in the conversation. Like, it's not your Jade that you'll be wearing. And then Andon has the whole actual understanding of Chetanese culture and how it's like, you know, you're just inherently breaking Aisho by doing this. And he's just kind of mortified that Tori doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah.
And then there's also, you know, the obviously fucked up and insidious bit here where Hispania has outlawed Jade, which is a sacred part of the Chetanese culture in Hispania. Civilians should not wear Jade. And then they're actively recruiting these same people and giving them like special incentives to join the military so that they can get this thing that until a month ago they could legally own and wear, and now get it to serve their own ends as Hispanians.
Yeah, it brings back the comparison of Jade to a weapon or like a gun. Like, you can only have this if you're
Part
enlisted,
of a well-regulated militia.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's like a racial element to it. So it's like, I don't know. It's even more than that.
Do we think that the law is perhaps more targeted towards the military outcome than it appears?
You mean towards the war as a
like,
whole?
are the Hispanians have outlawed Jade for civilians, and now like they're actively recruiting those civilians to try to get them to be like, hey, you can wear Jade if you join. So I was wondering if, you know, the proclaimed reason for this is all the violence and they don't want thuds and the crews to get Jade. But I'm wondering, you know, we've seen these guys very business savvy, very duplicitous. Are they, you know, was there an ulterior motive afoot?
I think there definitely
absolutely
could be. Yeah. Yeah.
And clearly it's working to a certain degree.
They got one.
And someone else was interested, I think.
Yeah, another one in the group was considering it, if I remember correctly. Can't remember the name of that person, but he was like, I might. The thing that this evokes for me, too, is a similar, again, leaning into history a little bit, but a similar response in the 1940s post-Pearl Harbor, where a lot of Japanese Americans felt pressed because of the bombing of Pearl Harbor to enlist. And a lot of those that didn't were immediately brought into incarceration camps as a part of that. So it's just a brutal part of history in general, but this is very reminiscent of something similar on foreign soil. It just, folks, similar reaction, similar feeling.
Mm-hmm.
We're outlawing you, you know. Do not.
Optionally, I wonder if it's to a lesser degree a means of obtaining more Jade, because presumably they would seize anything that they would catch illegally being worn.
For sure. I think you're right.
It's already been described as the most precious and uncommon material on Earth. So any little bit that they get is incredibly important.
Yeah, and you'd think, you know, like Todd probably turns in his Jade when he joins, presumably.
Because you also have to adhere to their standards, right? So you have to have the same amount of Jade as everyone else does, which is its own.
I think anyone enlisting would leave their Jade with their family.
Hopefully, but we don't know if they have those same customs.
Right? I'm with you on that, Aaron. I just can't. A lot of people are dumb.
Yeah. And there's the line that you get immunity for wearing Jade before enlisting. So I was just wondering if, you know, they're like, you know, part of the immunity, you got to turn over the Jade you were wearing, my dude. All right. But that brings us, I think, to the attack on the Grudge Hall. We see, really for the first time, Roan Toru, just fucking a badass extraordinaire doing some really cool stuff.
Nice gloves you got there, Roan.
Yeah. I like that that came back up. It's a pretty cool way to wear your jade.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
I was very curious if anyone was going to key into that last week when he talks about like taking the gloves on and off and like pressing them and rolling them, because it's such a specific detail, and it does feel like rolling knuckles, right? And like that's the cool thing to do if you're a fighter man. But it was one of those hints.
Putting on the gloves.
You're not a fireman?
I'm not. I'm neither.
Not a fighter man.
Ben, you all actually, this group might be able to help me rekindle my memory. What is there's like an action movie where a guy does put on gloves like that before roughing people up, and it just reminded
Terminator?
me of that. It's probably some
Transporter.
Maybe
Transporter, I think, is correct. Yeah.
They're like driving gloves.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it probably is that, and I'm just like bottling from a trailer.
Rorschach in Watchmen does. He always pulls his gloves down before he's going to a fight. That might not be what you're thinking of, but
I think that's more.
Right. Well, I know that happens.
But yeah, it just seemed like very action movie of like, gotta literally put my gloves on, get ready to fuck people up.
The Machinist, maybe.
Could also be. It's a move, right? In general, it's totally an action movie move to like tighten up whatever you're about to do, and
crack your knuckles.
Can Aaron do more Terminator impressions?
Do it. One more.
Give us
I
one.
will fuck.
I will fuck you up.
I know it's.
In Discord, it just came through as "I will fuck."
Dude, I was like, what the fuck?
Too good.
You up? I did a pause. I'll be back.
Right.
What? I'm good at it.
I love it.
I love it.
Thank you.
All right, Aaron, you already touched on. Very good. That was 10.
There it is. That's what we needed.
That was Topper's crumb.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot to bring up the California dude. That was Toppers, brah. Like, where the fuck did that accent come from?
I hate the Aspenian fucking slang.
No, the Aspenians are British, and then he's like, Toppers, dude.
I don't know what our guy.
I think
is
technically it
on.
started last week, but
So weird.
This guy, he's sometimes just like really, really good at narrating, and sometimes just like my brother. What's up?
He's
What's
not
going
good
on?
at accents, and he's certainly not good at British or whatever fucking surfer dude that was.
Yeah, there's like a difficulty with
it
the
totally
consistency.
took me out. I listened to it more than once. I was like, Tappers.
Tappers, bro.
And some of like just the readings of it'll be like the tone is this, and then he says it, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I agree with that line reading.
It was just like Avatar, The Way of Water, when the children wouldn't stop saying, bro.
Golly.
Bro.
I really want to know how many bros are in that
I was
movie.
like, can you stop?
76.
that was
Is
the
that true?
worst part.
I haven't seen it. I don't know.
The worst part of the whole movie was the kids slang. Although I did like the kids.
I like the kids.
General.
Ben and I were in the theater together, just like laughing our ass off because it was so stupid.
We do like to have fun at the movies.
We like to laugh at movies.
There's got to be like a supercut video of just isolating all of the bros.
For sure.
It was a lot.
But that's
If
what
there's
this
not,
was
it'll be on
like.
the Words and Whiskey YouTube in a week.
Get on
We're
it,
not
Thomas.
doing that. I'm not.
That'd be a lot of work.
It's only 3 hours.
We could probably
Well,
do
that
it
could
in
be-
the script. Just
We could. Anyway.
Anywho. So, Grudge Hall attacked. Roan disappears up. Tori, for the first time, actually acts like a green bone. It's like, everyone stay here. And then they all run up. Todd, I think, throws the deflection being like, we said stay here. And it's like, okay, these guys actually do have a little bit of sauce going on. They're not all show.
Just a light deflection.
Yeah.
Don't want to hurt anybody.
I don't want to hurt him, but just want to let them know, like, hey, relax.
I was really worried in this moment that all the green bones were going to run upstairs and then like someone was going to come in the back door and kill everybody.
Mm.
Would have been smart.
Like a bait and switch.
that would have been effective. That would have been brutal.
So one thing that stuck out to me here was when they come back for a second pass of the drive-by, Tori kind of jumps on Andon. I wonder if that stood out to anybody else.
He's protecting him with his deflection and steeled body in more ways than one.
Wow. What are you stealing right now, Corey?
Oh man.
Sorry.
It's not the time.
No, I thought it was interesting, but I love how and we'll get to this, but I don't know. I love how that made Andon feel like kind of helpless.
Mm-hmm.
And he
Like the damsel.
he had to deal with that. So that was an interesting conflict for Andon, I thought.
And I think Corey's jumping on him because he cares about him, but also because he's the only not Greenbone, just completely unprotected out there.
Yeah, once again,
On the
Andon's not thinking situations through.
And it's putting not only himself, but he's also putting everyone else there in danger because he's taking away
Right.
someone to be
Deflect
on him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he does some cool things here too, right? He's the one who realizes, hey, should probably deal with the Molotov cocktail and get it out of here before it blows us up. He throws it, and then there's a really cool Roan Tuaro moment where Andon's throw falls short, and he catches it and eats it over there again. It
Blows
runs
a bird up.
to just really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, for being so good at relay ball, he really flubbed that throw, huh?
He did get burned.
He did get burned, yeah.
That's true. Okay, fine. I'll concede that one.
He tried, okay?
But yeah, he did his best, and he did more, it seems like, the actual Greenbones were doing besides Roan.
And throwing
Just-
deflections to get the bullets
Cool. Good for them.
up and down.
Good for them.
I mean, it's good they can even do that.
It
None
is.
of them are trained at the Wylon Temple School.
Yeah. Or Cal Doucheron Academy.
I just so badly want to see Andon green again. He feels so
That was always my fantasy, in middle school, was that I was actually a superhero and all my friends would be like, whoa, when I finally showed my powers. He has the ability to do
To
that.
live out your
to be
dream.
they'd be like, whoa, he's amazing.
And instead, he's a sad boy.
Instead, he is just dull man. He does become a murderous psychopath when he's on Shades.
Details.
Right.
Once. Who knows? Listen, maybe he can get therapy now. He has parents. We can get therapy added to the list.
That's true. He
does
is
have parents.
still incredibly helpful, but he'd just be so much better with Jade.
Yeah, the top
It
would
would
come
just
up and
feel
he'd
so
just be like,
good.
bang.
This hurts. This hurts.
Although, PJ, like you said, he is useful still. He, Roan's like, hey, I need you to talk to the top so I can get these people out of here. Instantly realize it's just my face. And then he has a very clever plan to slip into a Steppanish accent to cover up his less than fluent grasp on the Ismenian language.
And it goes,
And I just-
"Yoo-hoo, come aboard, Sam."
Hey, what's up with that?
Best part of Frozen. Too good.
Sorry,
It's too
Thomas.
I thought
No,
he
that's-
was.
I
I
mean,
had
that's
a
perfect.
note for a second there. Where I was like, he's doing too much, but then I was like, okay, he pulled it off.
He landed the bird
Yeah,
very well. I was just impressed that he was smart. You know what I mean? Very fast thinking on his
Because
feet.
he's been so stupid.
yeah.
He
for
made some
once.
bad choices sometimes.
He's just a young boy.
He's very awkward, but he nailed it. We needed him to rise to the occasion, and he did. Yeah, that's all my notes for this chapter. Actually, no, I have
All
one
right.
more. Sorry.
Nope.
Did anyone catch the Tim Joru reference?
No.
I'm
so
not sure that I know that reference.
let me do some explaining for us. There's the green bone there when Andon meets Tori, when he rescues the woman who runs out from her home, always arguing with her husband, domestic violence situation, not good. Then we go to dinner at the Douch house, and he's talking about the situation. He says to Roan, hey, what happens in someone's house, their business. However, when it becomes a problem for the community at large, it's an issue for all of us, to have a conversation with Tim Joru. He does. Now, however long later, Tim Joru dead of a sudden heart attack, only 54. Andon looks at Roan, who doesn't react.
Whoa.
Hmm.
Some
Channeling.
interesting stuff going up. It's a very subtle little thing that stood out to me.
Interesting.
Did he have
Wish
the
I would've
gloves
caught that.
on?
We should have got that.
It's crazy how
Hit the
Amy
drop.
and her lover also died of a sudden heart attack.
I heard it was a
It's some good
fire.
book reading. Is that
I heard it was a fire.
Actually, no, that wasn't.
Was it PJ's high? Was that the drop? Anyway.
Could be.
Could be.
All right.
Evergreen.
With that, we'll move into chapter 34, the clan's friendship. We continue with Andon, first with his goodbye phone call to Corey from the train station and the result of the grudge hall weighing heavily upon him. Violence has also made its way to Soundtrap with the burgeoning gang war starting up again in the backdrop of everything else. And the Dauks come to Andon with a big ask. So, where do we think Corey and Andon go from here to start with? Like, where do you think that this relationship continues? How do we feel?
I think Corey's gonna have a good time wherever he goes.
I agree. 100%. And Andon is going to see him somewhere, sometime with someone else.
And I mean, Andon
And he
is
is going to get
crushing.
upset.
Andon's so infatuated. He's crushing way too hard.
Yeah.
And while Corey likes Andon, he's not infatuated. Like, you know.
I do think it's good that Andon's starting to think about his own, like, role within the relationship and how that's probably not going to work for him. So that makes me feel like maybe he can protect his heart enough, but at the same time, probably not. I think he's in too deep already.
This is his first relationship, too.
Yeah. First sexual experiences. That's a tough one.
Yeah. He's 20, right,
Yeah.
at this point.
With an older
And
man.
isn't Corey, like,
older,
4 years
more
older?
experienced, yeah.
Yeah, he says he's
And-
24 in the preceding chapter.
I think we kind of see it start to happen a little bit later in one of the, maybe it's the next chapter, but Corey doesn't call him.
No, that's in this chapter, but yeah.
Is that this chapter? Okay.
It's
Like,
later in this chapter. Yeah.
and Andon's already like coming up with rationalizations like, oh, he's busy. It's orientation week. He's getting ready for his first school. Like, it's over, man. I think it's over as far as like a full-fledged relationship goes.
To your point, PJ, this chapter is written very interestingly. It starts off saying the next 2 months were the worst of Andon's life in Espenia, or like the way that he felt. And then it proceeds to like basically lay them out up until current time. So it goes from the train station phone call to then some reflections to then the conversation that happens between Roan and the Heons. And like the way that it lays this information out is very interesting. It's like, oh, hey, this is all happening over the course of a short period of time. Here's sort of the interstitial scenes that make up that 2 months. To that point, I really appreciated, especially in reread, that Roan stands up for Andon to the Heons when they're freaking out about what happened, and the way that he says that he's green in his soul, and that Andon spends a lot of time this week kind of in general contemplating that very green that's inside of him over the course of this week. Should he pick up Jade again? Should he not? What that looks like? Would he be okay in a relationship with someone else being green? There are a lot of different things that are weighing heavily on Andon in the moment. What do you guys think of that?
Well, it's like Ad basically being broken up with, plus hormones, puberty. Is it still puberty when you're 20?
No.
I think
He has a case of the horny.
The horny.
Yeah.
Date
Like,
withdrawal,
it's all of
potentially.
that, plus, like, you know, being in a shootout and lying to the cops and now contemplating. I mean, it's just a lot for a young man to think about.
What do we think about Roan standing up in this situation for him, and just sort of Roan as this character in the moment?
Do we know if Roan knows Andon's upbringing?
It doesn't appear. I mean, the Dauks do, right?
Right.
And so we assume that information is probably shared, but that's the best that we have.
Right. It felt like almost a nod to that silently.
Like, yeah, he knows that he grew up training and around Greenbones.
He reminded me a lot of Make Ken in this situation. Brown did.
I think he and Make Ken have a lot of parallels for sure.
Love
for
a horn.
me, it speaks to the thing that hits me here with Roan isn't just that it's like green in his soul. It seems to almost come from like a layer of understanding of like, for whatever reason, you don't have Jade on, but you still want to be a Greenbone. Like you still want to fight for clan and for culture. And he recognizes that and sees that as important, regardless of where he's at in his Jade journey.
He can sense his thick blood.
Is it thick?
He's cut.
KK.
I wonder if, Andon can feel the Jade when he's close or touching other people. Can they feel like the pull from him?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Can they feel the way that he's attracted to their Jade? Yeah.
Like magnetic?
Maybe
Yeah, I
it's
wonder
perception driven.
That's what I was going to say. I wonder if as he does that, their perception of him increases as well.
Changes.
Yeah, they probably feel the hunger.
'Tis an interesting thought.
The vibrations.
Oh,
The vibrations.
The juju
Good
bees.
vibrations.
Wait, is
Touch
it now?
when we
Is
kiss.
that what that is?
I think it's
Danger,
Talladega
danger.
Nights, isn't
Oh,
it?
yeah.
There's also the business vandalism that happens. We've already talked a little bit about this in the previous, so I don't want to weight this section. But there's obviously a lot of small gang conflicts that lead to death. We see revenge hits on either side of the aisle. We also get this third position from the police as seemingly playing as a third clan, being able to be bought out by either clan in the moment. And all this said, Aisho nowhere to be found. It leads to an interesting comparison between KCON and Espeni on the whole, with this sort of like moral backbone code. What do we make of the difference in gang violence between countries?
Let K-Con cook.
Yeah, it just shows what they value. I mean, yeah, it's just, and how everything's run. It's like the gangs are basically the police in KCON.
Seems to work a little better.
Well, I guess the violence is more concentrated, but it is more violent, maybe? I don't know. I guess we don't really have anything to compare it to. Sounds like Espinia is pretty violent as well.
Mm-hmm. But in a different sort of, I mean, obviously in this context, racially motivated way, which is obviously awful. The way that some of these, like, I think we might have talked about it earlier, but like a grocer being killed and like just some random folks that are just running small businesses being hit is just, ugh.
Yeah, it's more like
Someone
random
thought
acts
to
of
be
violence. Yeah.
It stinks. And that leads to the Hyun's eldest son saying that South Trap is turning into an ethnic ghetto, which is even worse because then you can see the way that that is perpetuating itself through the news or through newspapers and the way that the media has moved that message throughout the culture as well, which is to say that, oh, these folks are leading to violence, even though he sees himself as one of them. And that's it.
He's
Even
watching
worse.
Fox News with Aitmata.
Right.
We're going to get canceled.
Absolutely.
For saying Fox News? No. I don't think we're going to get canceled for
They're
that.
gonna
No, not on this show.
they're gonna sue us and then they're gonna settle last minute right
That's
before
fine.
the jury walks.
All press is good press.
Yeah.
At this
I
point.
would love to be sued by Fox News.
Come at me.
I don't know if we really want to.
No, I'll invite that pain. It's fine.
All right.
Hey, we all know lawyers, so Aaron's dad is a lawyer.
Aaron's.
We're
Do
fine.
you know who Aaron's dad is?
Do they understand what they're trifling with here?
This bit has come up no less than once every other episode.
Robert
Since you
Murdoch.
told this story.
I promise you, you do not want these problems.
John will bankroll. We'll be fine.
Be
But-
fine.
myself.
So we move on from kind of those
I did find it kind of funny when the Hyuns are talking with their son and he's trying to convince them to move out. Like, not unless you give us grandkids. We have no
Give us
reason,
a reason
to move out.
move to the suburbs. We're not moving for fucking you. Fuck you.
They're like our useless sons. We have a new son. He helps out around the house.
True.
He's not having kids, let's be real.
Well, yeah. So they have a clan dinner with the obviously the Pillar of Southrap, the Losons, come over, and Dauk Loson paints a brutally clear picture that the Keko-Espenian way of life is crumbling now that Jade is legal, and that they've lost the ability to protect themselves against those that treat them as complete foreigners, despite, especially like as an example in his case, the fact that he's been there for 45 years. And that's a lot of time. It's brutal. And he goes and asks for the clan for help against police and the crews. So swinging back towards K-Con. Send help.
And we always knew this was going to be asked to Vanden.
Mm-hmm. Chekhov's favor.
It was definitely a Chekhov's gun waiting to go off the whole time.
Yeah. Wasn't expecting the Heons to like cash in their favor for the Dauks, but
because they're winning something.
Kind of the whole community, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
They want to stick next to their grocery store, man.
Do we have any thoughts on what that'll end up looking like in the future? The clan's friendship?
Well, since we know a little more from this moment,
mm-hmm.
I think something will come of it. And, especially having the Pillar come visit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair point. That is in the next chapter. Cool. All right. It's a good place to leave it. We'll pick that up.
In chapter 35, Stranger Allies. So there's a lot going on in this chapter. We leave with Tallast from the Espenian Ketanese population. Now we got the Espenian military government asking strong favors from the Ketanese. We drop in, we got negotiations between Espenian dignitaries and high-ranking Ketanese, including Chancellor Son and No Peak, but excluding the Mountain Clan. After an uncomfortable and borderline antagonistic negotiation, the two parties depart, and Hilo and his small council of the mates and Shae discuss the situation over dinner. After dinner, Shae and Hilo discuss next steps, and Hilo overrules Shae's plans to visit Espenia to establish their foothold in the country, planning to go himself. And I will note that I said antagonistic like PJ does. That was an accident. I don't know what happened.
Tappers.
Tappers, bro.
Tappers, bro. Whoa.
Tappers.
Do I say antagonistic weird?
No, you say A sounds the way you do.
It's just your Minnesota accent.
You just sound like a Northlander. Right. The king of the North.
In particular, have a harsher than I do at the very least Minnesota accent.
Cross is a fucking world traveler.
Makes fun of the word dragon every time I
say it. It's that similar profile.
Dragon.
No, we are. Dragon. He's dragon ass.
Dragon.
That's very funny.
Oh, that was funny. Do it again.
Dragon.
Say dragon for me.
Not A.
What is he dragging?
Dragon.
Dragon.
There you go.
Anyways, back to No Peak.
One of the things that sticks out to me is just how incredibly wound and tangled up Espenia and K-Con are at this point.
I thought you were still talking about
PJ's muscles are
wound and tied up. PJ's accent is in.
I'm sorry.
PJ has just the most knotted calves on this podcast.
Wow. Fighting Corey. I'm sorry, okay. Thomas.
So this chapter, there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, right? One of the things is how wound up Espenia and K-Con have become at this point. Very messy. A lot of, seems like, harsh feelings potentially developing between the two, as the frictions and differences between their cultures brush up against one another and are now becoming more and more rote. I don't know. But there's another interesting thing here, and that's the display of the Espenian use of jade.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cute.
Them having to boost each other up over.
It reminded me of the soldiers from Toy Story.
That's a good call.
That is a good call.
I was gonna say that it reminded me more of like every Avengers movie where, like, you know, an Avenger comes in to talk to the military person, and then in the background, like, you know, they're all doing drills.
Kind of like a James Bond test site. When you
Yeah,
get
it's
the
like
gadgets.
every action movie. There's
Yeah.
like the people in the background doing the jump over the wall scenario. Happens a lot. There's
Every
lots of
time.
walls out there.
They're always fucking training. And then
Yeah.
Ken, though, looks at them and says, "You've got to hand it to the Espenians. They know how to cook scraps into a meal," which is just very much turning chicken shit into chicken salad.
Right.
I think it's lemons into lemonade.
I mean, both. Chicken shit
Less
into chicken salad is
disgusting.
also a thing.
Chicken shit and chicken salad are both gross.
Chicken salad is
Chicken
good.
salad's
I'll be
good.
on the record on that one.
Doesn't have
Now we're
raisins
getting
in it?
canceled. Now we're
All
getting
right.
canceled territory.
We've only ever talked today about foods that I hate, but chicken salad is number one on the list.
Here's a
Really?
little,
Doesn't it have
here's
raisins?
a little trick for you.
You don't
No,
have to
not-
put raisins in it.
That's disgusting. The ones with
Hey,
like
hey,
raisins,
PJ,
salad.
PJ,
Cannot do
say
it.
raisins
raisins.
and almonds. That's
Are you
gross.
not?
Say
Are you not big?
raisins.
Are you not big on mayonnaise or something?
Raisins.
No, I
Here's a
love
little.
mayonnaise. I
Here's a
just
little trick
don't-
for you, Cross.
Texture. I don't know what it is.
Chicken salad. You shred it up. Don't dice it. That's ridiculous. You're
I
gonna
don't dice it.
Okay. I wasn't saying you specifically. I was just calling it out.
Okay.
You
You're gonna
cross
take some
fucked
curry
it up.
powder. You're gonna take some curry
Curry powder?
powder. Fucking dump it in there. It's gonna be delicious. It's gonna be life changing.
Honestly, I believe that that's probably closer to what I would enjoy flavor-wise. I don't know what it is, though. Like, growing up, only a couple of food aversions. We've already talked about most of them on the show, and I don't want to belabor the point because we're rounding out the week. But fucking chicken salad. I've never liked tuna salad. Couldn't do it. But I'd be willing to give it a try at this point. It's been probably 5 years since I've tried it again. So we're approaching that.
Thomas,
I'll try
stick
it again.
some in an
point.
envelope and mail it to him.
Please,
Okay, I'll have my-
a manila envelope
I'll have my
Of-
mom make you a sandwich.
chicken salad.
Get some nice white bread on there for you.
I'll take mom's recipe.
Yeah, it'll be good. Anyway, back to our friends in K-Con.
This is another one of those chapters that it's hard for me to like shift into and
Mhm.
like
I
know what's going on right away. Like it's another like
Yeah.
reread 3 times to
I
like
had yes.
put my mind in the right. Like I'm like, who are we with? Where the fuck
The
are
exact
we?
same thing. This is almost like it's not an interlude, obviously, but there's some like we did a lot of explanations and background into Tetanese culture and the government and the military. So in some ways, it felt almost like the history piece of it felt kind of interlude. And I also had that same. I had to read it like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, like
But I
to-
did think-
okay, now I can focus.
Mhm.
Curious what you all thought about the one exception to the Golden Jade rule. And that's the military, and then specifically the General Ronu Yasudin.
I think
Oh,
it makes
yeah.
way sense.
Sweden.
Yeah, there seemed like there was
pretty sure.
more. I feel like we didn't get the whole story with him
True.
because they were like everybody weak goes in there, but he's like really respected.
Yeah, they send the offshoots.
It just seemed like there was like something missing from that explanation. Like I needed another couple sentences on him to like really understand what was going on there. Like why is he in the military? I don't know.
Also got another, a watch with Jade, which we love.
And he's from
6
the
studs.
yeah, and he was from the mountain. So then you're like, my ears are perked
Mm-hmm.
at this point. as
And conspicuously, no mountain representatives
Right.
officially there.
well. That seems like
Mhm.
something maybe we should be a little smarter about, but I don't know. They said like he's from the mountain. It's not a big deal. I was like, he's from the mountain.
But he left 18 years ago when
18 years,
relations
yeah.
were better. He's not
That's
one of
true.
In
Ike's
the
people
military,
that we know
It
of.
wasn't Ike.
Part-
Yeah, that was in charge.
That's a good point. Okay.
Well, it was Ike, just not this Ike.
Well, yeah, sorry. Mata. It wasn't Mata. It's the whole first name
Yeah.
and last name bit. Yeah.
What do we think about that custom, though, of shepherding the weaker fingers into the military?
sounds like a weak military.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Pointless kind of.
Sounds like
But
it
if
keeps
they're
the clans in
liability.
power.
That was
Yeah.
kind of what I was thinking, PJ.
Yeah.
I mean, like we do obviously know the real power lies with the clans. However, clans have very differing priorities from one another, and it might make sense to have a strong, united force capable of defending your country that has no ulterior motives, ideally.
To Aaron's point too, that's what yields the liability, right? Is the fact that like this is not an army composed of the best soldiers. This is composed of whoever the fuck doesn't want to be a part of the clans but wants to remain green.
Or the rejects. Like, all right, we don't
Barrow?
Like,
What?
we don't want you in the clan, Finger. You didn't, pass the muster. So it's like, what's it called when you abandon your post?
AWOL.
Deserters.
Deserter.
Yeah.
It's deserters and rejects. Sounds like a good band.
I mean, they got 8 years of vetting and training, though. Like they proved themselves, but maybe just didn't continue to perform at the level they needed to. I don't think they're entire. Like I think you'd be hard pressed to find a straight up fuck up Finger in most of the clans. But you got to replace them sometime, and the life doesn't always work the way they expect it to. I don't know.
To Aaron's point, Newfound Glory, Deserters, and Rejects, and the story so far touring July 2008. Like, absolutely.
It is a band.
Yeah. I mean, it should be for sure. But yeah, you're right. Most of the Fingers at that point are fairly loyal, but I think it becomes a competence question, not a loyalty question. And as such, or like potentially a, is the family bought into the clan dynamic? Is this potentially now that like Morrow could have taken, right? Like in a similar way, similar context, similar family environment. Right. Feels like it mirrors that.
Maybe he should have be enough man for Shae.
Yeah. Easy to go generally from the army into politics in general. That's usually a path. So better than a uni boy. Meant it as university, but it became worse when I called him a boy. So
sound more like unicorn.
Yeah, fair enough.
So the opening kind of set piece of this chapter is the Espenian and Tetanese communications, where they're, keeping up international relations. What do we think of this exchange, which is interesting?
These Espenians get a little of these assholes, huh?
Why?
Golly, I was just like, I don't know, they're just dickheads.
Rude. Yeah,
they're rude.
Condescending.
They're the ones with the money.
That doesn't make it okay to be rude.
Just saying.
I'm just saying.
I think
clean blade time.
Always
clean blade time.
One of the things that we continually touch on is how well the breadcrumbs are laid for things that pay off later. And so we see the initial negotiation where they're at the restaurant and Shae is speaking with Dealer and the ambassador. And, she is the only one who speaks on the Tetanese side of things, and they both take turns speaking. And then that problem is intensified by, however many Espenians are there, and they all just keep fucking talking over each other, talking over. Yeah. And it's just like a nice, like you just see at every turn, at every point, these two cultures in some ways to just not be more dissimilar from one another.
Strange bedfellows for sure.
Yes, exactly, PJ.
And there just doesn't seem to be much effort like on their side to understand.
Learn the culture.
Yeah.
Tetanese people at all. They really just kind of see them as assets, which we've heard a bunch of times, but it was plain to see here.
Yeah. They're a means to the end of gaining a bunch of jade.
It becomes so clear that they're just like Espenia is just like a stand-in for a hypo-capitalistic society at this point. That's just like so involved in that the only way that they can contemplate things is in exchanges and trades. And this just further emphasizes that idea of like, oh, you are a tool to be utilized and wielded as such. So we're going to do that.
Yeah. What did you guys think about the kind of how that negotiation ends with Secretary Chorus smiling, standing up, and doing the traditional raised, clasped hands, touched salute? And it's like just on the border of mockery that stand out.
I didn't feel like it was mockery. I thought it was he was trying to be respectful.
But it's like they don't know. They like we had kind of talked about, they like don't care so much to like they miss so much other stuff. The fact that they try that, it just seems like
how will they know if no one teaches them? He's trying his best. I don't think he was like doing it to be rude.
No, I don't think so either. It's just like they're genuinely. I mean, they're just rude in general.
Genuine ignorance.
Yeah.
Hasty and kind of read as an obligation more than like something they actually want to do to be respectful.
Right.
Oh, interesting. I read it as more overtly rude and kind of like, yeah, we do understand you guys a little bit. We're just not doing it. Because he like
I can see
nails it, what he does. And he nails like the perfect level of not making it overtly mocking, Hilo points out. So it just seems like very coordinated. And like things had kind of fallen apart at that point. And he's like, I'm going to be dramatically respectful now and very traditional.
Well, that's also kind of the whole thing of this scene, right? Is it leans into the fact that like Hilo points out the fact that there isn't one person leading the argument to begin with. And so it feels as though this is all a coordinated attempt versus someone talking man to man in a very personal context and trying to make things clear and exchanges clear and to make it feel real. This feels like a brokered conversation.
Mm-hmm. All right. So then we immediately flash from there to dinner discussing it. And, our guys, the calls, the mates, they're not fucking happy about this conversation. And Ken, one of my favorites, thrown on me a whole lot. Forgot how much I love this guy. He has a little quote I wanted to highlight. Ken grumbled in agreement and pushed back his empty plate. Dealing with them is like wrestling a creature with many heads. One head smiling at you, another stealing your food, a third taking a bite out of your ass. The horn crossed his arms. They knew we want to send Greenbones to fight on their side in that hellhole. They only said it so that they could be more forceful, asking for what they thought they could really get.
Shrewd negotiators.
Dealing
yes.
with
Sorry, I was...
foreign bodies.
Yeah. And then the quote continues, Spennies. They'd lined up to sell their own mothers just to see who could get the best price. Tar was leaning back with a contentedly lazy look on his face, having spent the afternoon with his sometimes lover in Row instead of on a human naval base. It's just so we get Ken, who was there, commenting on the situation, and then Tar kind of again reminiscent of how he behaved in Step and Land, like pointing out the stereotypes of the people. Mm-hmm. And also I just thought it was funny, Ken was on duty, busy. This guy was getting busy and just for once kind of relaxed, contentedly lazy look. Guy's fucking chill. And I just put in my notes the duality of the mates.
Yeah. But I mean, they both get to a good point. Like, yeah, I do like the 3-headed comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love the makes.
Me too.
Pretty excellent.
All of them. Good people.
Definitely want more of that Tar guy, though, at this point. We get a lot of Ken, we get a lot of Wen, a little bit more of Tar.
Yeah, I feel like we only get deep looks into Tar when he fucks up, basically, thus far. But we'll see. But then, so during this dinner, they move on kind of to a conversation about what the mountain's up to. We get some dirt on e153, and the Hilo eyed his sister impressed. How did you find this out? Rats are everywhere these days, Shae said, so smugly that Hilo smirked.
It's your wife.
Yeah, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
She's got a fucking spy network, my dude. You have no idea.
It's like, what's his bet with the birds?
Varys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yep.
The mermaid. And then the last thing that stood out to me is just like how global the problems of Hilo as Pillar are, and how like just geopolitical his role has become in this modern age. Like he's got to fucking go to Espenia. He was in Steppenland. He was in the Uwean Islands. Like this dude's a globetrotter.
He's getting asked to participate in a foreign war.
Mm-hmm. Negotiating is basically like
head of state. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't sign up for this.
He did not.
He didn't sign
up for any of it.
No, signed up to be in street wars and shoving matches.
Chest pushing. Yeah. All right. With that, we'll move to our final chapter, chapter 36. It's a quick one. It's What You Deserve. We return to Barrow and Moot having a drink in Barrow's apartment. After chatting about some schemes, it becomes clear to Barrow that Moot has poisoned him with a paralytic and leaves him to die overdosing on Shae, having stolen his jade.
Wow, 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 wow.
This was
wow, 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 wow. Yeah.
Wild.
I wanted to text PJ and be like, sorry, dude.
You should have.
How about
boy
the
Barrow.
balls on Moot?
Hey,
He's all grown up.
we said this. The three of us said Moot's going to turn on him.
Yeah.
You did.
Did we make an official bet? Because we were right.
I don't think so, but you know what?
I don't
I
see
will
it.
take the drink for it nonetheless.
What's his
There are
drink,
some
too?
times where like you make he can do it next episode. He's just drinking
I'm not
water,
going
that's not
to.
fair.
You're holding
We
make it
water
bad. You're
right now,
accountable for it.
Cross.
Yeah.
We don't
This,
actually.
it's
Hold
true.
on.
This is bubbly.
There's nothing to be accountable for.
We don't
If
know
we
he's
give
dead.
them fucking
Aaron.
participation trophies
gonna
for
say-
every
No,
right
I'm not
prediction.
saying-
It's not about the death.
Yeah, it's about Moot.
Thomas.
Boot.
I refuse.
Sometimes you have to unofficially accept a
It's
bet.
about
I don't.
Moot turning on Barrow. That was what we
I don't have a
discussed.
gambling problem.
It was about that. So
We don't
okay,
think,
my sparkling water is not enough to compensate.
we don't think that Barrow's actually dead.
I think it
though,
is
do we?
Cross.
I don't think Barrow's dead.
He's going to somehow slither out of this
I think
situation.
Barrow can't die.
He's getting on
The
his
gods are on his side.
his slither is
So-
happening right now.
So here's the deal. Here's the problem.
Speed
We
on it.
said the exact same thing about Lon because of the way they broke up the chapters, and it feels like a cliffhanger. Like, is it going to happen? Is it not? We could open the next chapter and see like Barrow's like lack of a funeral where he's like thrown in a gutter. Like, it might just not,
a
be a
ditch.
cliffhanger.
Someone walks by and they're
I
like,
would-
that's an ugly kid with a weird face. It's crooked even.
No, I think this is different. I think Barrow is the inverse of Lon, where that he doesn't deserve to live, but somehow always lives.
Yeah,
I agree.
he's too much of a shithead to die here. Is my feel.
I love that we fully jumped to the Barrow dies conspiracies before even talking about like how fucking shit Barrow and Moot are at channeling, which I think is the most. It's so lovely because we talk about the rats so much in Jade City, and the way that like Lon killed the rats, and the way that Hilo thought about the rats is like barely a thing, and the way that Andon like shotguns them each one at a time, and yet here Barrow and Moot sit and they can't fucking do more than make it like flip over and freak out. Like it's so bad.
I like that Barrow's
So
like,
just the
"Oh, he's
poor
better
animals."
than me, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, when did Moot get better than
And
me?
he's like, fucking Moot. Better than me at channeling.
And these poor animals
Mm-hmm.
that have
I
to
know. Why are we like,
endure
These
the
fucking
suffering.
degenerates.
can't we channel on something else?
Yeah,
I mean,
you have to
probably
unalive
not.
something.
Yeah.
Goldfish?
I don't know.
They don't remember anything.
I wouldn't feel bad. I would feel less bad about it. Maybe if it was a bug or something.
Yeah. Fair.
I mean, it's better than
Maybe
the
it's-
oxes they used to use, apparently.
Right. Yeah. Ox's cows.
Maybe there's
Right.
well, yeah, he tried it on the dog, and the dog bit him.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a rat
That's a good
problem
dog.
Deserved.
in Janloon, and like they're actually doing everyone a favor.
Rats are
Rat taking care of the rat problem?
nowadays.
Yeah.
We did hear that.
So I'm very glad that we got to cycle around to that. I know that we talked about this, but I love the speech that Moot gives in the moment to Barrow as Barrow realizes that the poison is setting in and what's going on. And he says, "It's funny, KK. We're thieves, remember? We're the lowest of the low. But you're something else. My dad gave you work and paid you good money, and then when everyone was looking to have you killed, he saved your life. And you took his shine for yourself and you sold it. And you pretended the whole time like you cared to help me avenge him, but you never did. You only kept me around because I was useful, but you never intended to pay my dad back for anything he did for you. You never stick your neck out for anyone but yourself. You've got Jade. You don't know what to do with it because you've got nothing to live for. I might be a thief, but at least I've got reasons. You've got nothing. You are nothing."
Boots got bars.
Yeah, that hits pretty hard.
Baby Moot, get your groove back. To Jamaica.
Let's not go down that road again.
It reminded me of, you don't know where you are going, but I do from Red Rising.
It's a fair point. It's actually a pretty good comparison.
Also reminded me of in Metamind. Oh, you're a villain, all right. Just not a super one. Our guy Barrow, no fucking presentation.
I think Moot has a lot of good points.
He does. He pretty much nailed Barrow to the wall.
And Barrow always saw Moot as like a dumb kid, and he realizes too late that Moot, he's
been the brains of this operation the whole time.
Climbing the thief ladder here.
He's been actually training.
Executive level thief.
Powerful purpose.
The final thing that I want to ask is something that we've already touched on a little bit, but given the predilection for what we think is going to come, do we think that Barrow dies and we move from having Barrow perspectives to Moot perspectives, or do we think that we pick up Barrow being a snail on the ground? Like, where does this go?
I don't think Barrow dies.
I don't think Barrow dies either.
And
I don't either.
He's got to go get his Jade back.
I think that he learned a very valuable lesson.
Trust no one. Kill the kid.
Kill kids.
I just think it's going to turn him into a bigger monster. Now he is going to have some purpose that he didn't have previously.
Yeah, Moot.
I mean, how many, just to go back to the joke answer of kill kids, but how many problems would have been solved if they hadn't decided, let's spare this kid? Maybe he'll be useful in some
a cascading number of
problems.
So many
they
problems.
Decided. One man
Just
decided
Lon.
that.
Well, Lon and Barrow
Idiot.
now.
Oh, okay.
We've
I don't
all
know.
learned our lesson.
It'd just be a whole different set of problems, though.
Kill the kids. Got it. Taking that away.
Shae
Taking
learned
that
it.
in my back.
Don't make that a soundbite.
No.
Bang! Cut, cut, cut. You're going to get canceled.
Great.
I'm trying
All
very
right.
hard this episode, apparently.
All right, so that leads us into our closing thoughts. And who won the week?
Shae or Moot.
Yeah, I think Moot won. Shae almost died,
But she got her honor back. She got her groove back.
but she lost a lot.
She also
in the
lost a
process.
boyfriend.
And a
And-
Jade choker.
And a child.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Shae won. Wen could have won.
I think coming out of
Andon
a
could have
duel
won.
with Aitmata for your life, with your life, is a win.
I think Moot won.
It is a win, but is it the win? You know?
Who else? I mean,
I
Also,
think so.
the
She lost that dead weight in Marrow. She gained the respect of her clan and the nation.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
agreed. Put Hami Tumashan in his place.
Poor Marrow.
Put fucking Hami in his place.
the
She knows she's got a
councilman-
man ready to die
Yeah,
for
put
her
the
at a
councilman
moment's notice.
in their place too.
Mhm.
A cowed Councilman Coey. Yeah,
You're really proud of
She
yourself
did,
on
she
that
did a
one.
lot.
I am. And I remembered it too off the cuff.
I will give an honorable mention to Roan Toro. I think he had a good
Mhm.
week.
He had
He had
some
a great
cool
week.
gloves.
Cool gloves.
I don't
Catching
think
a
Andon
Molotov.
won. I think
Catching a
And then shooting
Molotov
people is
cocktail.
cool.
Yeah,
I think
And then shooting people.
yeah.
That's just cool. Like, he's a cool.
I think Andon lost the week. Did we just come up?
Yeah.
He had some pretty great decision making, and despite not being green, was able to.
I thought he
hang.
was making terrible decisions. I don't know why everyone's being so nice to Andon this week.
I'm not being nice to him.
Thomas and
Never nice
PJ
to him.
are sucking the juice.
Sucking the juice.
I said I agree with you that he lost the week, first of all. I just think he made some smart decisions in the heat of battle.
Glad that Ben and I are on the same laugh track.
This is nonsense.
Sucking the
Bag of
juice.
worms, sucking the juice.
Listen.
I meant drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
I knew what you were going for.
I did not. I
didn't
thought you
mean
meant sucking his dick.
sexual.
That's what I thought too. Which is why you both reacted so adversely, which is very funny, and that's why Ben and I were laughing for sure. Our faces are
I know
pink.
what you thought I meant, and I also knew that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Of course. I think Moot won the week
There
as
we
well.
go.
I think Shae is a strong contender for the aforementioned reasons, but anytime you can put Barrow down, potentially, you got to do it, and I love that for him. And also when you can do it while making great points and just roasting the fuck out of him, snaps for Moot.
Motto wins just for the cool sunglasses move.
Not wrong.
Actually, Fonda Lee wins for fucking writing that great duel.
Yeah.
True.
It was
Well,
pretty awesome.
Fonda Lee can't win. She'd win every week because everything is...
Well, that's true, but I really like the
Very
duel.
true. I actually, my winner of the week is Hilo for the way that Chapter 35 is handled in general. I think that he does a wonderful job playing in an arena that he's unfamiliar with. And I really appreciate the way that he kind of navigates that conversation. I would, given the context, especially of the way that this week ends, I totally see Moot. And so I'll agree that I think that we can all settle on Moot winning.
We need more people trying to kill Barrow.
actively.
Yeah, he's a fucking cockroach.
All right. Sounds good. With that, next week is our 6th episode, and we're going to be reading chapters 37 through 43. 37 through 43. I'm very excited. Only a couple more. We're rounding out this book pretty quickly. So, ho, here we go.
Mm-hmm.
Merry Christmas.
That's Merry Christmas. That's where we'll leave you for this week.
Thank you, as always, to our producers, Tim and Andrew, for helping us keep the show's lights on. I would also like to thank our co-hosts for making this whole season happen.
You're
It's
welcome.
been amazing having you guys on.
It's been a
for these
joy.
books. It's been so much fun.
Abdullah
Removed
Makes.
next week. We haven't sent you the email yet.
Yeah,
but we
you
kicked you
are
off the show.
fired.
Thank God.
Damn it.
Did I actually get canceled? Is that what this is about?
Stop trying to make
No, you're not
toppers
fired.
happen. It's not
You
going to
do
happen.
have to show up next week.
That's the meme of the week, Aaron, for sure.
You can check out the show notes where you'll find links to our schedule, our Patreon, previous episodes, websites, social media accounts, all that stuff. One easy, convenient spot.
We also want to take a second to thank private party patron Ziva for sponsoring not one, but 2 episodes covering Daisy Jones and the Six. So we're breaking it up into 2 different pieces. One in which we're going to be talking about the first 5 episodes and the history of music of the time. And then the second where we're going to be comparing the book with the back 5 episodes. So very excited to do that in a sponsored episode.
Mm-hmm.
Woo woo.
Lovely.
Whoop, whoop. I'm 2 episodes
Lovely.
in. It's very good.
I'm loving it so far as well. Beyond that, you can find us Words Whiskey Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, wordsandwhiskeyshow@gmail.com, patreon.com/Words and Whiskey. Join so that you can listen to the Devil's Cut and listen to
Talk about
stories
butt plugs.
about U-Hauls, butt plugs. What else?
Pretty much
There's a
just
lot.
that.
Not in that order.
Just that.
It's a lot of that stuff.
Actually, in that
Sandra
order, if
Bullock.
you listen to it linearly.
Unrelated.
Sandra Bullock, yeah, we also we hit a lot of topics. Wide-ranging conversations.
Soon, what we're
The
afraid
Patreon.
of.
Yes, soon what we're afraid of. Beyond that, t-shirts on TeePublic. And
And-
as for reviews,
Don't, you got to let me do it.
I was
was
pitching it to you.
I was
That was
ready.
clunky.
Let him pitch.
Oh.
And don't forget, 5 stars only, rate and review. If you don't give us 5 stars only, we will cut your guts out and you won't get healed. It'll be so sad. And then we'll take your jade necklace. Thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds horrifying. That sounds exhausting. It really
Yeah,
does.
so just leave
straight
the
up.
review. Save us the time, please.
Yeah.
I would look
For
terrible
sure.
in a
Exhausting
choker.
for us or for the person losing
For
their
us.
lifeblood.
We got to murder. Like, murder's not easy.
Also, as a final note that I want to append here, most of us will see you at HowlerCon that are on this call right now. So if you're attending HowlerCon on August 3rd?
That is correct.
6th. Yeah,
August
August 3rd.
It's a
In-
Thursday. Very convenient.
In
Very convenient.
Tulsa,
In Tulsa, we'll see
Oklahoma.
you there.
Oh.
Woohoo! Do we want to do it? Do we want to do a woo? Do we want to do a? We can do a howl.
No, we need
was-
we need a Fonda Lee.
Fun Lee shout.
They don't have one.
Jade.
It'd be like for my honor, for my Jade, or something.
Read the clouds, bitch.
there it is. That's the outro. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.